Maverick News, the antivirus program for your mind. And now, the Freedom Reporters.
Hello, Maverick family, and welcome back, Joseph M. Leonard. How are you, sir? I think we have audio from you now. Yeah, we definitely have audio. Can you hear me, Joseph? He may not be able to hear me. He's having some technical problems. We'll just put him into the back room while we get things started here today. And we have a lot to talk about because Ron DeSantis is sending National Guard reinforcements to the Texas border in Eagle Pass, while some actual transport trucks have now joined that convoy heading to that same location as part of the Take Back Our Border protest. Now, I think we may have a visit through the broadcast from Soup Mama, who is on location and live. She'll bring us up to date on what's happening and give us the lay of the land there. We have other stories to cover tonight as well. Canada's health minister with more information on the federal government's decision to delay the expansion of medical assistance in dying, doctor-assisted suicide in Canada. Also, we will dip into this story about the province of Alberta in Canada as well, shifting gears, changing directions, going in the opposite direction of the federal government on the issue of gender identity, with the premier there answering questions on that subject a day after announcing a new policy initiative saying that parents will be notified if their kids going to school decide to change their pronouns or take other steps toward a change in their gender identity. So that, of course, is a hot button topic. Let's see if Joseph can hear us now. Can you hear me, sir? I can see you. I cannot hear you. I could hear you before when you signed back in. We had audio, but now we don't again. We can just read your lips through the broadcast. Okay, I'm going to take you out of the I have no idea. This is it. I could try and I can interpret, try to lip read. I think he says, I don't know what's wrong. My computer is not working properly. Something like that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Something is wrong with my brand new headset, the USB, Bluetooth or whatever communication. It's just flashing red. I'm going to have to take it back to Best Buy, so sound quality won't be good. I'm just using standard computer right now.
What happened to your old one?
I always only used my laptop microphone, and I used earbuds to listen, to provide, to try to avoid any, feedback.
We're getting a lot of
but we can't do it this way because I can. It echoes my voice. You gotta go get your earbuds, or it's not going to work. Can we do that?
How about that? Is that better?
Yeah, I think that is better. Yes.
All right. I turned on echo cancellation. Okay.
There you go. Now we're in good shape. Right. So let's take a quick break.
Because your sound is coming through the PC and going right back into my microphone. Yeah,
perfect. Okay, now we're in good shape. So we'll be right back, folks, after this, now that we have all of our technical problems worked out.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Well, thanks for joining us back on the program again, Joseph. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. You could still hear me, right?
Oh, yes, we're okay now. And it actually sounds okay, so it's not bad at all. Now, quite a day today. This whole border issue continues to dominate headlines. And Ron DeSantis, Florida governor, sending the cavalry to Eagle Pass, Texas.
So is South Dakota Kristi Noem.
Yep. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Let's pick up a little bit of this news conference with Ron DeSantis making this announcement, explaining exactly what they're doing to back up the mighty state of Texas. Here we go.
Good morning. Well, we are here to join as Floridians to say that we need to stop this invasion at our southern border once and for all. And we're here. We've got a number of folks that are joining us today.
Okay,
we
let's
have
actually
General
pull
John
out of this.
Haas, who's
Oh,
our
well, we had
Adjutant
Supermom in
General
the
of
back
the Florida
room there,
National
but
Guard. We have Executive Director of the Highway Safety Motor Vehicles Department, which oversees Highway Patrol, Dave Kerner. We have Director Mark Themey from the Florida State Guard. And then we have Sergeant Anthony Duboisevich, an FHP troop.
Okay, we're going to actually pull out of that for a moment, folks, because we have Soup Mama joining us live from, I don't know where, but she's out there somewhere in internet land and in the real US of A. Hello, welcome back.
Hi, guys. Good evening. It's a little hard to hear you because I am here currently at tonight's rally, which is going on right behind me. This is part of the convoy that is live streaming on my channel. So if you want better visual of that, I'm trying to find a spot that's a little quieter. I was working on that so I can hear you guys a little bit better. So we're going to just kind of stick around, but I'll show you guys behind me there. And actually, even over here, they have this huge place set up. Lots of people here. The parking is like fields across the street. Full.
Yeah.
So,
and you have a lot of people. A lot more people have joined at this point. I see. I have some actual transport trucks now too.
Yes. So there are a couple of them. I was also told today on one of the people in my chats was saying that there are actually 2 rigs already down at Eagle Pass. So there are a few trucks. But again, this wasn't really advertised as a trucker convoy per se. It did say bring your cars, trucks, RVs, campers. So, so it's not just strictly big rigs, but we're walking. This is a little bit better. I can hear you guys much better now.
Okay.
Well, that's better that it was just a general convoy for anyone with their plug-in hybrid. I doubt there are any of those, right?
Right, correct. That's how it was being advertised. Yeah.
Yeah. And so give us a sense of the size of this thing. And I know that a new news release was issued saying that there are actually going to be now similar protests in, I think, Arizona and California. I don't know where.
Okay. Yeah. So actually, that was the plan all along. If you guys, I don't know how many of you guys have actually checked out the website, but the convoy part that I came in on was just the East Coast. there were actually like 3 or 4 different convoys coming from different directions to California, Arizona, and Texas. Now, the reason that the focus is so much on Texas, obviously, is because of what's going on with Greg Abbott and the state of Texas, and of course, the federal government here in the United States. So that's why a lot more of the focus, sorry, I don't want to blind you guys with the sun. That's why a lot more of the focus is, of course, here in Texas, especially near the Eagle Pass area with the park and everything. So that's why there's a lot more buzz about this particular piece of the convoy, because we were coming directly to Texas, where some of those other pieces of the convoy, like I said, are going to California and Arizona on the same day. So that was always part of the plan. Some of those people that traveled with us from the East Coast were actually moving on and driving on to Arizona. They had a driver's meeting at 10 o'clock today, but I took the time to sleep in and relax because 12 plus hours of driving for 4 days in a row just wiped me out. But it was a kind of a free day until now. This is the first thing that has been planned really all day long, is having this rally here. So.
Okay. Joseph, any questions?
No, have you seen any razor wire being cut?
Not yet, not yet. Right now we're in the Dripping Springs, Texas area. So we're having this rally here tonight, and to my understanding, tomorrow is when we're going to be heading down to Eagle Pass, in that area. Now, again, if you check out the website, one of the things that you'll see is that this convoy ends at a children's ranch in Texas, and it is for a prayer event, sort of. It's more of a religious type, praying for our country, showing the National Guard that we are standing in solidarity with them, but it is not actually at the border. So one of the things that I plan to do while I'm down here is take an extra day or two and actually go down to the border wall to cover
Go-
what is going on
Make
over there.
sure you're armed if you do so.
Well, it is Texas, sir, and I do believe that comes standard issue in this state. So,
Yeah, well, you mentioned the child ranch. It reminds me of the old Don Imus Kids with Cancer ranch. Unfortunately, that I don't think Deidre, his widow, was able to keep going after Don died. That was a great thing. But this sounds like similar, a ranch, a charity ranch to help kids of some sort.
yeah, it seems like all of the organizers for this convoy are involved with or have been involved with nonprofits, the church. They're all pastors, former or current. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic, especially compared to, everybody talking about the comparisons from 2 years ago to now. What's the difference? Um, and this is different on so many fundamental levels, is what I'm finding out. For example, these guys here have never really led a convoy before or anything like that, according to them. Now, the one guy did participate in the convoy in DC. Um, the one that owns, one of the organizers, the one that owns the big bus, I guess, he had traveled in with American Freedom Convoy, I do believe. I'm not 100% sure of the affiliation there, but he had been down in DC. So um, I guess maybe that's where maybe the idea was sprung from there. I'm not really sure. They said that it came to them in some kind of a vision, just sort of happenstance. That's what they were called to do. And here we are. So, again, it's kind of interesting as I go what I'm finding out. It's not what everybody expected. Including myself. It's a little different than what I was hearing, because before I left, obviously there were a lot of questions, a lot of skepticism. And I do understand that. I mean, obviously, some questions I kind of still have because, well, they're just always unknowns. But from so far, what I can tell, these guys are the real deal. They're very genuine. Again, they they come from all different nonprofits and things like that. Now, have I had the time to check into all of those things? No, I have not. That's kind of what I depend on you independent journalists to do. I'm just out here trying to cover the live stream as best I can to show everybody in real time. But
have you run into the bandit? There's somebody indeed with a Trans Am, black
yeah,
Trans Am, like from the movie, that was going from DC to there. I'm wondering if the bandit showed up there yet.
yeah, I heard about that. I'm not really sure. Somebody was saying that in the chat. As you guys know, I've been live streaming pretty much 14, 15 hours a day right now to try and give full transparency, other than when I'm pretty much having my own private conversations with my family and sleeping. So
are you finding that people are frustrated, or are the live streamers there able to, have they been able to, like yourself, been able to push back against the negative mainstream media coverage that has been provided?
Well, the biggest problem we're finding is that a lot of these social media platforms are taking down our videos, or they're shadow banning them and preventing the spread of the information. And that actually seems to be the biggest hurdle that we're trying to overcome, because some of these guys have pretty big platforms on YouTube and stuff, way bigger than my own. But that's okay, because they spend a lot more time on YouTube. I spend a lot more time running out and trying to get people connected and active in their communities, and helping each other out, because that's what it's really about, and that's where the changes are going to be made. um, but again, the throttling of information seems to be the biggest hurdle for getting anything out that's actually going on with this convoy. And I have been hearing that echoed in a lot of the chats amongst all of the live streamers. The people here, they are all here. They're frustrated with what's going on with our governments and things like that. But these folks are all very much of a mind that prayer is powerful, and that they're here to peaceably assemble. They are very, very assertive about that. That there is no kind of alternate plans there. I've not heard any chatter about that at all. No antics, no nothing. As a matter of fact, one of the more relieving aspects of this is, having been at the original convoy and having been and being here on this one, the entire mood of everything is different. The entire outlook is different. And I will say that with like the People's Convoy in Washington D.C., it was, you had a lot more people that treated it like a party. You had a lot of people that weren't very, I mean, they were there, they were serious, but they weren't, in a lot of respects. But here, what I've noticed is everybody's very focused, everybody's very on point. There's not a lot of carrying on. There's no, no major drinking. There's no outbursts. There's no none of that. It is a totally different vibe here on this convoy. It's actually really kind of nice and relaxing, and very
it's
family.
exactly like when the Tea Party rallies went to DC. DC landed up cleaner than when they got there, when they were done.
Yeah, exactly. And I have the feeling that that's what's gonna happen here with these guys. They're gonna show the world how this is done peaceably, and how this is done, in a nice manner, without taking everybody for a crazy ride, and leaving some people in the dust. So I don't know. I think this is kind of an interesting experience, and I'm really kind of grateful that I came down here to see it firsthand and get the real scoop.
What's the reaction being there with the participants to Florida and I guess Oklahoma now sending officially National Guard reinforcements to back up Texas?
Well, everybody here seems very, very hopeful about that. Everybody seems excited about that support that's coming in from the other states. A lot of the people here, and I will say, including myself, believe that Texas has a right to defend its own state borders. When you talk to the residents and things like that in the area, we've had a lot of support, a lot of people stopping us, whether we're at a gas station or just, driving around at a park or whatever, and they stop, they come by, they're thanking us for being here and showing our support as well. A lot of these guys, there's no easy solutions to what's going on down here at the border. There are some people that have brought up other aspects of it. How do we stop it? And they said, just putting up razor wire isn't going to necessarily help. A lot of the problem is from what I'm understanding, a lot of the problem is these NGOs going in trying to advocate for these asylum rights, and they're promising these folks that the government's going to take care of them when they get here, and then they get here, and it's a very rude awakening because it's all word of mouth. And you have to understand, like in the United States and Canada, it's not as prevalent anymore as it is in some countries, but in a lot of other countries, it's multi generational families and they're very, very close knit and they're very tight communities. Um, and so word of mouth is really, really important. So when one person says, "Oh yeah, you're going to get all this free," da 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 da, and then their relative makes it through. Yeah, I made it through, and I made it to such and such a place. That word travels rather quickly, and then those folks are off selling their houses, selling off all their possessions to come here just to find themselves sleeping on cardboard in the streets because there's nowhere for them to go. So it is really rather unfortunate because, again, there has to be work done in those other countries, in the home countries too. And I think it's going to take a lot more than just a quick fix of the National Guard shoring up this area here, because again, we do have a lot of border wall that is unprotected, that's owned by the cartels and the coyotes. We know this. That's not really speculation anymore at this point. So there is quite a humanitarian crisis that's going on because of the border. So again, a lot of interest in it, a lot of people very excited about the added support from the National Guard. We have had one or two people that haven't been so happy that we're here, but overwhelmingly has been a positive response the whole way down from all the way from New York, where I started, into Florida, and of course across the states here to Texas. So, and again, you can see it on the live stream. I think I've had maybe two what we call freedom fingers the entire time. And of course, I always ask everybody to just pray for them to have the negativity leave their hearts. So,
And it's great. You came from New York, you said, so it was a
yeah.
good excuse to go where it's warm.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I'm actually wearing my flip-flops right now. It is 70 degrees, and the only reason I'm wearing the flannel is because the breeze makes it a little chilly and makes the hair on my arms stand up. But other than that, it is gorgeous. It's been sunny since we got down here, and I'm super grateful because when I left New York on Sunday, there was snow on the ground. I still had snow grime on my truck and on my windshield till the other day when I finally cleaned it off. So this is wonderful. February and sunshine and 70 degrees. You can't beat it, guys. If there is a better place to be right now to stand up for patriotism and stand up for your country, I don't know where it is, because this is honestly awesome.
That's great. And, we won't keep you too much longer, but this really, I guess, kind of really gets going this weekend, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you just give us a little bit of the sense of what the timeline is here and how things are going to unfold?
Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what time tomorrow we're rolling out, but tomorrow is going to be the convoy down to Eagle Pass. Um, and the third is the big rally there at the ranch. So you should expect to see us all in transit tomorrow. Um, Again, I did hear rumors. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I did hear rumors that Ted Nugent is going to be showing up and going to be at the rally. So we will see. That should be an interesting experience if he does show up here. Oh, excuse me.
Well,
But there's
Nugent does live in Texas these days. He's originally
yes,
from
yes,
Jackson,
and
Michigan area.
he's a pretty outspoken guy, and so this should be pretty interesting to meet the Nuge if he comes, as
Yeah.
my parents
I
affectionately.
think an important thing to say about all this, though, is that, not thousands upon thousands of people. So what? Who cares? We all generally have to raise families or work for a living
Mhm.
or something.
Absolutely.
We're not like on Soros's payroll to pay to protest, have
Correct.
nothing else to do. So these lower numbers, for every one person there, I dare say they represent 1,000, 10,000 more per person that's
Oh
there.
yeah, I've had anywhere from 100 to 300 people traveling in my passenger seat on a camera at all times. And again, there's probably 10 or 11 different live streamers here that I know personally, just bumping into them over time through the different Patriot events. And again, they carry hundreds of people in their chats, and those people represent people, So it is almost like a representative republic here of all different parts of the nation. We've even got some Canadians here, which is really awesome. So one of the guys that's streaming is Jeff from Travel Fund 69, the channel on YouTube there. He's up there from Canada, and Ron and Amanda Clark are literally on their way to Eagle Pass. They are in the States. They called me earlier today, and they are on their way down. We're expecting them either late tonight or tomorrow.
And
So
obviously, social media obviously helped play a role, but I think the bigger role was like the old Pantene commercial. You tell two people, they tell two people. The people who would really actually be interested and want to be involved would have likely heard through word of mouth the details and that it was legit and that so and so was going. So, oh, okay, I want to go too.
yeah, that's kind of how these things work with the grassroots. A lot of times it goes off of, well, hey, do you know this person? Um, Now, even for me, I did not know these organizers at all myself. However, I do know a few people that knew one or two of them, and they're people that I trust and respect myself. So I said, okay. And it did change my perspective a little. Now, obviously, I'm a little skeptical just because, well, in the last 2 years, I've seen quite a bit while I'm out here. So, I always kind of I'll sit back and I'll watch and see. But so far, everything seems to be exactly what they say it is. And that is a huge relief to me. It is a huge relief to my viewers. I know that. So everybody seems kind of happy with the direction that this is
Yeah,
going.
you've got to be careful because there are certainly scammers and spammers and people
Hmm.
who are just looking to say they're a part of something to sell you some trinket. So
Right.
yeah, it's really best to make sure if you don't know somebody directly that a friend of a friend of a friend at least, not some complete stranger so you land up in the backwoods somewhere. Who knows what going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Well,
that's what I said. It's this is a real relief to me so far. I mean, again, I always encourage people, just like politicians, any place you donate to, anything like that, you always want to check them out. Now, I myself, again, I have not given them any money. I didn't take the time to check them out, so I wasn't giving them my own funds. But I am self-funded getting out here, and I have not asked for any reimbursements. I've not heard of anything like that. So if they are raising any kinds of funds, I don't know what they're going to. I'm sure it's explained on their website. But again, you guys want to. I always tell people, if you don't like your leaders, leaders can't lead without followers. So if you don't follow them, they can't lead, guys. And our dollars and our money is very, very powerful, and we can speak with that. So again, if you're not sure of something, don't give them your money. If you don't trust them, or if you don't know where they're coming from, or you don't take that time. Um, Obviously, like I said, in the last few years, we've kind of learned those lessons with this movement. You get to know who's who and who's doing the right things. But again, so far, this seems to be 100% legit,
Yeah,
and
I'm
it seems
glad
to
you
be
said that
everything they
about
say it is.
the money because I say that all the time. Don't give it to the RNC. Don't give it to your
Yep,
state party. Give directly to candidates. If
yep,
you're in a blue district, find somebody in a purple district to help them win. Give
yep,
well,
good conservative, or as I now say, I call myself a Christitutionalist, good, solid Christian based in the U.S. constitutional candidate to give directly to. Don't funnel it through the middlemen where they skim off the top and they give it to God knows who. Give direct to good people, like you said, that you've researched. As Reagan said, trust but verify.
Yep, yeah, it's kind of like trust your neighbor, but brand your cattle. So, make sure you guys are branding your cattle.
That's a
So
good.
listen, Soup Mama, what we'll do here is we'll depart here and we'll pick up your live feed for just a few minutes, direct people over to your channel so that people know where to find you and they can
Awesome,
continue to
awesome.
follow you. When we're not on the air here, or even if we are on the air, if you want to see the live feed, you can go to Soup Mama's channel. So we'll tell people how to do that. But before we do that, just again explain to people how they can find you online.
Okay, well, guys, you can actually type in Soup Mama Official on any search engine, and you will find all of our social medias. We're across all of the platforms, I think. Well, most of the platforms. There's a few smaller ones or not, but all the major ones are on. Our Facebook and our YouTube are the most active. The YouTube channel is, again, it's spelled the same way it is on the screen here. Just add official on the end, and you'll be able to find those streams. During this convoy, we've been streaming morning to night. Like I said, pretty much every minute I'm awake, other than that first 5 before I get my coffee. So until I go to bed at night, guys, because I do want to make sure that you're seeing everything that we are, getting the full story. Because I promised everybody that follows me and my channel 100% transparency with this journey, and I want everybody to have that, because we deserve the truth of what's going on with this, and we deserve the truth of what's going on at the border. So again, I plan on spending those extra couple days and trying to get down there with some extra footage for you guys.
Awesome. And we'll check back in with you, not only for that, because I'd like to, kind of check in regularly with you during this journey, but I found out, and you're probably aware, that the president is going to East Palestine within
On
days.
Sunday. Yes, yes, I heard that. And I'm very upset that I'm in Texas and not in Ohio to go give him the proper greeting that he deserves. However, I do know that East Palestine itself, a lot of the residents are planning on welcoming him in their own way. So I do have a couple of friends that are also planning on showing up, that have also been an instrumental part of getting donation relief to East Palestine. Some of the other folks that are here in this Patriot movement, like I said, they're planning on going and standing strong with East Palestine. And God bless my Patriot family that's going to be there with them. As you guys may or may not know, one of the members of the Soup Mama official kitchen board is from Nagley, Ohio, and her property line is literally Leslie Run, that contaminated stream. So, yeah, I'm hoping that she is going to be live streaming that coverage on Facebook, hopefully, since I've been running on YouTube for the convoy. But we're hoping to get that footage for you guys too from East Palestine, so that you can see the greeting that Biden gets when he gets there. And I don't think that it's going to be what he's hoping for or expects at this time, because these folks are pretty angry that they've been forgotten and haven't gotten any aid or any help whatsoever, and they've been kind of left behind. So I'm sure it's going to be an interesting reaction there. But we as a kitchen, we are going back March 23rd for a donation distribution to help bring some relief goods back to these guys. We haven't been out there since last April, and they've still received zero help, guys, from anybody in the government. Zero help. So we're planning on taking some relief goods. We do have a donation drive. We have an Amazon wish list. We have a direct shipping address, and we have several payment platforms if you guys want to just donate money so we can purchase foods and fresh fruits and vegetables and things to add to that distribution. All the basics: food, water, bedding, medicine, immune support, just to give them a little relief so that they can catch up on those medical bills and things from all of the after effects from that derailment and burn.
And to remind everybody, while you were talking, I went to soupmamaofficial.com. So I'm following you on Twitter, subscribe to you on YouTube, also following you on Gab and Getter now. So I go
Awesome.
under an alias on Facebook, though, so I'm not bothering there.
Oh, well, Facebook is the same thing, Soup Mama Official. One of the things that everybody could help me out with, if they're, and I know it's terrible, but if they're on TikTok, if they could please follow the channel. We're trying to get 1,000 followers so we can go live. It's not a great platform. It's not my favorite platform, and for all the reasons, because of it being owned by China. But
you
there are
gotta be there.
a lot of people who are on there that I can't reach otherwise. And the goal is to reach as many people out there as possible and unite as many. So if you guys are listening to this and you have an extra couple of seconds, just hit that follow button on TikTok so we can get live on there as well and reach a much larger Patriot audience. So we can definitely get everybody united, involved, and make some good changes in this world. That's really what it's all about.
I would do that on TikTok, but for some reason I put up 3 TikTok videos about my books, and then they locked me out. So I
Yeah,
have no
it's
idea
like,
what's going on there. But yeah, I don't understand. I've written several pieces like tinyurl.com/social media never surrender. I don't get why some people want to limit themselves to, like I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Brightia. Why do some people want to limit their reach? I don't quite get that. I'm on Getter, Gab, MeWe, Spreely,
Well,
15 different platforms. I don't
well, I'm
understand why.
working off about 10 right now. TikTok is my most banned. They actually have taken down the most videos out of any social media platform, which I found really interesting. Because everybody's like, "Oh, TikTok, you can put all this stuff on." No, you can't. However, like I said, guys, if you can help us out, we are trying to grow our social media platforms so that we can get that reach out for everybody. And I really appreciate you having me on. We'll keep checking in from the road. I think tomorrow, like I said, it's mostly going to be a driving day. But I'll check in with you and let you know what's happening if there's anything exciting going on at nighttime. And other than that, guys, thank you so much.
thank you, Soup Mama.
You guys take care.
All right,
God
catch
bless
Now
you
I
later.
want some
Okay.
chicken noodle soup, though.
All right, thank you
See you
again.
next time.
Talk to you
Take
soon.
care.
Bye. And there you go, Soup Mama in Texas tonight.
No soup for you. For those who
All
will
right.
get the Seinfeld reference. Yeah.
Okay, hang on there, folks. We'll be right back after this.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, Joseph, let's dip back into that news conference with Ron DeSantis sending reinforcements.
Hopefully they're past the introductions now. Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Okay. Ron DeSantis, news conference, sending National Guard reinforcements to Texas.
To January 20th, 2021, what does Joe Biden do as soon as he gets into office?
How do celebrities like Justin Bieber and the
I don't know how they do that. They Justin Bieber on the rock.
On you.
He says he's not going to deport people for 100 days. He issues a slew of executive orders to not just not have the border be fortified, but really to invite people to come in. And when he was running for president, he had said that people are going to be able to come in, and he created an environment where you could pay some coyote thousands of dollars and just get to that border and you're home free. And so we've seen a huge increase over many years, and now it's as bad as it's ever been at the southern border. We understood this problem in Florida right at the beginning in 2021. And so as this was happening, Texas was scrambling to defend its people, defend its state, and they needed assistance. They weren't getting any assistance from the federal government. Federal government was acting to thwart what they were trying to do. So we stepped up all the way back in 2021, and we've had people on the ground there since 2021. We've had National Guard, we've had Highway Patrol, Fish and Wildlife, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, you name it. They have been there and they've been making a big, big difference. And they've been able to see a lot of the things that are happening. We have our folks from FHP. They're stopping people from Iran coming across the border, Morocco, all these places around the world, which is just crazy that this is happening. And Director Kerner can talk about, he's got a whole laundry list of things. They just had an alien from Mexico that they picked up near the border who was wanted for capital murder in the Houston area. So this has been a total disaster. You have massive amounts of drugs pouring into the border, and then the sheer number of people. You don't hear these cities talk about being sanctuary cities anymore, do you? Because they realize you can't possibly take this many people coming in. So we've been assisting from the beginning. We've also taken steps here in the state of Florida. We've signed strong legislation to protect Floridians against illegal immigration, including banning sanctuary cities, including having E-Verify for employers, including increasing penalties for human trafficking and human smuggling. We've also banned local governments and non-government organizations from issuing ID cards to illegal aliens. And we've invalidated out-of-state licenses that have been issued to illegal aliens by states like California. We're not recognizing that here in the state of Florida. And so we've been very, very strong on this. We understand the costs involved, and there are many, many costs. We now have more fentanyl deaths on a yearly basis than we've ever had. It's been going up and up. We've done a lot to stop that here in Florida, and we've had some success in slowing the problem. But when you have this much coming in, I mean, I think they just did, 15,000 pills that they just seized in Florida, fentanyl pills. They were disguised as Oxycontin. They were really fentanyl. And I've been doing this now for years, raising the alarm on it. When you talk to parents who've lost kids from fentanyl poisoning, a lot of times it's in one of those situations. They think they're taking an Oxycontin or something, which, they shouldn't be doing. But if it's laced with fentanyl, you could be poisoned to death right there. So all of those fake Oxycontin that are fentanyl, those are potential death sentences to anyone that takes it. And so we see that. And the human toll has been incredible that this is happening. Biden has the authority to close this border today if he wanted to. He lacks the will to get the job done. He lacks the capacity to see the problem for what it is and to get the job done. And so the American people are basically left scrambling, and they're left to have to deal with this all on their own. Now, we've done a lot. FHP troopers, since 2021, they've intercepted 150,000 illegal aliens. And they have been instrumental in generating over 2,000 human trafficking and human smuggling charges in the state of Texas. Our National Guard have helped staff observation points, patrols, and they have helped with fencing and barriers. Our Florida Department of Law Enforcement has assisted Texas DPS with arrests of criminal aliens, including violent gang members. And Florida Fish and Wildlife has deployed hundreds of officers, over 500 four-wheel drive patrol trucks, and 24 vessels to assist in patrolling the border along the Rio Grande River. So we have stepped up probably more than any other state has stepped up, and we're proud to do that. However, we don't think this is enough. I believe that a state has a right to fortify its own borders. And so if Texas is helping to erect barriers, putting up razor wire, doing other things to keep illegal aliens out, I want to be helpful with them doing that. I don't want to be part of the federal government trying to tear down these barriers and let more people in illegally. This is crazy that this is the case. So today, we are going to fortify our presence along the southern border. We're providing up to 1 battalion of Florida National Guard, as well as our first ever deployment of the Florida State Guard. And the goal is to help Texas fortify this border, help them strengthen the barricades, help them add barriers, help them add the wire that they need to so that we can stop this invasion once and for all. And the states have to band together. The states have to band together to be able to defend the rule of law. And we see the problems, the drugs, the crime, just the sheer number of people. What has that done to hospitals? What has it done to education? It's just, you just can't do it. I mean, we probably have had 10 million come illegally since Biden's been president, but that number, even if that was legal, we cannot absorb that many people. It's just not the way you do business. It's not the way you run a country, but it's also a larger issue.
I chose Wix for my business because of its.
Hang on. So, Joseph, give me your thoughts.
Well, he's talking about breaking the law. Now, you know how my warp brain works. Now I've got Judas Priest breaking the law in my head. But, you know, this is a serious point there. If it's illegal for Texas to put up the razor wire, but it's to stop other criminals from breaking the law and coming into the nation illegally. You've got, just for sake of argument, let's just go with it. They're both breaking the law, but the Biden administration is only concerned about who breaking the law? The people trying to keep the actual drug smugglers, human trafficker, lawbreakers out. He wants to stop Abbott and let the illegals continue to flood in. I mean, how does that not tell so many people all they need to know about the picking and choosing of what laws we do and do not enforce? And spare me the, oh, well, Congress, the rhinos and the fascocrats have got a bill that will limit it to 5,000 a day. No, zero. Zero is the number. Zero. It's already illegal. We don't need a bill. We don't need new laws. We don't need anything but Biden and Mayorkas to actually enforce the actual laws that are already there, that they are in dereliction of duty, in violation of their oath of office, and I dare say guilty, therefore, of treason.
That's a very serious word, isn't it? Treason. What do you give me your, first of all, your definition of what you mean treason is in this case, and then tell me where you see that going in terms of accountability.
Treason, Benedict Arnold aided and abetted the British that we were fighting. Spies aided and abetted during the Manhattan Project, the Russians leaking secrets of the atomic. Those are all people who had committed treason. This is no different. They are aiding and abetting a foreign army invading the United States. Where are the women and the children? How many times do people have to repeat that? Day after day after day after day, shown military-aged males and or criminals like the Cuban boat lift that Castro emptied his jails, put them on boats to come across. Guatemala, Venezuela, they're all emptying their prisons and sending these lowlives on their way here. Like in New York, there's a rash of pickpocketing now. They just didn't learn that when they got here. They were criminals in their home country. They're now committing additional criminal acts beyond the initial criminal act of breaking into the nation illegally on the streets. And you've seen the video, I don't know if you have it ready to cue or anything, of the illegals beating on some cops. And Jokel, as I call her, not Hokel, Jokel, she's a joke. And Adams, oh, so tough, you dare not, these people need to be deported. but you don't hear one damn word out of their mouth about them changing the sanctuary city or sanctuary state status so that then ICE can come in, round them up, and deport them. All hat, no cattle, since we're talking Texas again. All talk because it's an election year.
Yeah, so I do have the video of that incident
I
with, I think it's eight. I think it's eight. 8 migrants.
8, 10, 12. I've heard.
I believe it's 8, and
conflicting numbers.
I have to get the right tab up here. 8 of them beating up, I believe it's 2 police officers.
And released without bail. Just let right back out on the street again.
Right. So here we go.
Yeah, I guess we don't have sound. This is just like a CCTV feed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't pull up like a news station feed. Okay, I see. It's this Crime Stoppers. Yeah, I mean, and at the one point, is it here where he comes up to kick him in the face? That's attempted murder right there, right there. That's kicking somebody while they're another one while they're down, kicking them in the head. That is, in my mind, premeditated attempted murder. They should be charged with, and in Rikers Island, being held because they're illegal. They're a flight risk until their trial. And from what I've heard just an hour ago, some of them supposedly, since they're out on no bail, have supposedly hopped a bus for California. Does anybody really think they're going to make it to California? They're not going to stop somewhere along the way where they think they can blend into some small community and continue their crime sprees?
So, yeah, that incident playing directly into everything going on at the border right now, and President Trump.
And again, Jokl and Adams, nothing. All talk. Blah, 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 blah. All talk, zero action. Just like a whole lot of people, unfortunately, online, virtue signaling.
And here's Donald Trump on this.
You have the right to close up your border. You don't need bills that complicate it and make it to a level that nobody's going to be able to do it. And the minimum was 5,000 people a day, if that can be right. It's hard to believe that can be right, but they were negotiating to allow 5,000 people a day. That's a tremendous amount. Nobody wants to have that happen to our country, and they're still not going to know where they're coming from. Right now, we have no idea who these people are that are pouring into our countries. Last night, I watched where they're beating up police officers in New York City, a gang of people that just came in that didn't speak English. Nobody knows who they are, where they come from. And very importantly, they come from, I can tell you, they come from jails and prisons. They come from mental institutions and insane asylums. And they're terrorists. They have a lot of terrorists coming too. And we don't want them. I'm sorry. So we had a very strong border. Yeah.
You want to elaborate?
Right. Well, yeah, he kind of reiterated everything I've already just said. And again, we don't need a new bill. We don't need any new legislation. We don't need any more money. We need a stay in Mexico policy again. So then there are less here to deal with. And ICE, instead of being babysitters and diaper changers, can actually do their damn job and deport people. We don't need anything new or different. They refuse to uphold their oath of office and enforce the laws we got. Another law is supposed to do what? That they will just ignore? I'm old enough to remember 80s. Reagan and Tip O'Neill, right? The left promises. Tip O'Neill and the Democrats promised border security, if we would provide amnesty for the 1 million or whatever it was then, only 1 million then. So, of course, Reagan made the deal. Dumb. Don't be stupid again. You're not going to fool us again. You'll promise border security for partial amnesty or whatever, or more money, because again, Hochul and Adams aren't changing their sanctuary city policy. They just want more money. So you give them more money, they land up in the money gets laundered to the blue cities. That's all it's about. We will never get the increased border security they promised. We've seen this movie before.
Interesting. I'm just seeing something about a protest with regard to this in New York, and I don't know exactly how accurate this is. I'll be looking into this to see if there's anything to show you or not. So I've got my eyes on it, and I know that senior police officials were today saying, that the reason you're getting these incidents, what an incident like this where police officers were beaten, is because there's no consequence. These guys were released on bail, right? Or just released.
Exactly. Zero bail, $0 bail.
Yeah.
They didn't have to put up any cash, no bails, bondsman, no nothing, just basically released on their own reconnaissance. People who literally broke into the country are trespassing in New York, could go then anywhere else. They're a flight risk. Anyone else who is a flight risk would be locked up till their trial date, because that's the point of keeping them locked up, so they can't fly off or run off somewhere. But back to the picking and choosing the laws. You've got these rapists, murderers, drug dealers, and then you got a jaywalker. Biden is worried about the jaywalker.
Yeah. So Trump talked about terrorists actually coming across the border, and that's really one of the main reasons I was so excited to get you back here tonight, Joseph, because you've done a lot of research into terrorism. Your book Terror Strikes deals specifically with that subject matter. What is your assessment of what is going on at the border and your reaction to Trump's statement on the terror threat?
It is there, but for the grace of God go I, as the saying goes, right? There are terror strikes and events that have been happening. You're not hearing about it because they're afraid of that narrative, because they will be tied, a lot of these, to these illegals. So the media, including faux news and even Newsmax, who I like a lot better still, and OAN, quiet. Do you remember when LAX was shut down for 3 days? That was a terrorist strike on the power grid that shut down LAX for 3 days. Have they done a damn thing about it? No. Radio silence. Moot. Keep quiet. That was a dry run. Something big is going to happen, and these people are going to feign surprise. Oh, we're shocked. What a complete shock. This is out of the blue. No, it's not. And there's too many of these terror cells now here, or even just these gangs, not just MS-13, these gangs, mini terror groups in and of themselves, for the FBI to be focusing on and doing anything about. Plus, we've discussed before, the DOJ is too busy rounding up 80-year-old granny that was 3 blocks away from the Capitol on January 6th to try and charge her with insurrection or trespassing or whatever, to keep that right-wing, terror, domestic terror false narrative going. They're too busy invading Latin Catholic masses because they're afraid of, as I discuss in Constitutionalist Politics, the black robe regiments coming back, the black robe brigades, where by day, finally, the priests, the reverends, the ministers, the whatever your particular Christian sect calls them, are going to finally, and it's happening more in Catholic churches, which is why they're mainly infiltrating Catholic churches right now, but it's spreading. They're speaking the whole gospel now, the whole truth, just like they did during the revolutionary days. They're donning the armor of God by day, and by night they're out fighting the tyrannical government, because Jesus was not a socialist. Render unto Caesar doesn't mean let the government do whatever the hell it pleases, especially our government, because we are of the people, by the people, and for the people. We, the people, are the government. And we've let them get away with far too much for far too long. I think they want a major terror event, which again, they'll feign, shock and surprise, but that will be yet another then distraction for the ability to crack down on Americans. Somehow they'll pin it on it's all Americans' fault.
Yeah, well, you guys have just a different form of government than we have up here in Canada. And your attitude is a little bit different too. And that's, because of the kind of constitution you have. You are a republic and we're not.
We are not a mobocracy, and the left is turning us into a kleptocracy and ineptocracy. All about identity politics and DIE, diversity, inclusion, and equity, which is really cultural Marxism. It's about killing Western culture. That's why I call it DIE, not DEI. It's about killing Western culture. And, they're focusing all of that energy on that we have to try to push back on.
Yeah. Let's take another quick break. And when we come back, we've got somebody else arriving in Dripping Springs, Texas, on their way to Eagle Pass. So we'll continue right after this. Do not go away.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
Maverick News. The world is watching. Fear not the storm, for truth is on our side. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's pick up this feed. And this should give us a sense of the size of the crowd there in Dripping Springs.
Bless you guys. Hello. Hello. God bless you guys. Hello. Texas. Hello. God bless you guys. Hello. 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 God bless you, brother. God bless you. God bless. God bless. Wow, this is what I'm talking about, man. This is crazy. Look at this. Wow, man. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Still hard to get a real perspective on the size. That wasn't showing a whole lot, and it's dark now, so it makes it even harder to see it.
Yeah, so definitely have more people today. Absolutely. I'm just checking out some other stuff here. What do you think ultimately will happen when they get down there to Eagle Pass, Joseph? Do you think?
Well, I know. We talked to Tino Bambino on X the other day. I'm no longer part of Savage Unfiltered, but I was still then, and we were talking about this to the lead up to it, and they were reiterating over and over, peaceful, peaceful, peaceful. Just like Trump said on January 6th, go there and peacefully have your voice be heard. Just like Jan 6th, would it surprise anyone if Ray Epps showed up there and tried to instigate some things? And if not Ray Epps, there will be some other agitators there trying to, of course, again, blame these people for some violence that breaks out, but it will be leftist, probably Antifa or Fed plants in the crowd again.
Here's some footage from the channel of Governor Greg Abbott in Texas. He has just released this. Oh, hang on. This computer is kind of wonky. Here we go. Shows you some of the action right on the border. So this is what we're seeing today, just a short time ago, actually. Within a couple of hours, you see people crossing right there. And the razor wire.
Yeah, the razor wire alone isn't going to do a ton, but with the flood and the numbers we're dealing with, and any finger in the dike, in the dam at this point, is at least something, whereas Biden wants absolutely nothing done.
Yeah. Heavy, this is heavy duty politics. A lot of it, when you get into this kind of politics, it can be difficult to have an accurate perspective, on how big something is, how serious something is. This is an issue that's been going on for a long time.
It goes way back. Again, the amnesty deal that Reagan fell for, that they want and expect us all to fall for again. No, you don't need new laws. You don't need new anything. Oh, let me throw this out here too, by the way. You Democrats saying, oh, we need some. No, you're ignoring law, a lot of which was signed into law by one of your heroes, William Jefferson Clinton. But of course, you don't care. Facts don't matter. Back when there was a Democrat that still semi cared about appearing to want to secure the border. All those laws you're ignoring. But again, to be fair, I'm not a partisan hack. G.W. Bush didn't do enough. Definitely didn't do. H.W. Bush certainly didn't do enough, because H.W. I think is a Chamber of Commerce establishment hack, rhino open border type. But the numbers then are nothing like the numbers we're dealing with now.
I was able to obtain this from Channel 10 Tampa Bay, because all this stuff was going on with the DeSantis today. And as I say, it's difficult to know what's, how large something is, get the proper perspective on things. But in this report, they also highlight some of the outright bogus, false, fake news that's going on out there. So let's just pick this up and I'll show you what I mean. This relates specifically to claims that there are tanks on the move in Texas to secure the border.
Tensions between the federal government and Texas remain high along the border. A video circulating on X with hundreds of thousands of views claims the feud is escalating and tanks were recently spotted at the border. But is that really what the video shows? Let's verify. Our sources are a video posted to TikTok in November 2023, an analysis of the viral video, and a reverse image search with Revi and Google Maps. We did a reverse image search and found the video was first posted to TikTok last November. We also took a closer look at the video and saw a road sign that points to Calama and Estación O'Higgins, two locations in Chile, not the United States. The truck in the video also has a Chilean license plate. Finally, using Google Maps, we confirmed the video was shot along a highway in northern Chile, not the US. You can see the same green road signs, white buildings, and fencing in Google Maps and the video. So, no, this video does not show tanks at the Texas border. It's a video from Chile, first published in November. With your Verify along the US-Mexico border in San Diego, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Wow, an actual journalist? He's a real journalist. He actually did journalism there.
Pretty cool. So I'm glad we were able to get that and share that with you tonight. I'm seeing other videos too that are highly suspect that I won't share with you tonight until I'm able to verify, but other videos of tanks that I think are bogus. And later on the newscast here on Maverick News, Kevin Michelizzi will join us from Crimea to talk not only about Ukraine, the situation there, but also about government psyops, misinformation, fake news, because as many of you may know, Kevin's a regular contributor here, and he is also an expert in that field in information warfare. So we'll look forward to having Kevin on later on in the broadcast. And he has some information about the war in Ukraine that you are just not going to get anyplace else, only here. And he'll give us his expert assessments on what's going on with some fake news that's circulating as a result of this whole situation at the border in Texas. Any thoughts on that, Joseph?
Oh, there's a whole lot of that. I mean, again, to be straight down the middle, analytical, honest, left propaganda, right propaganda, right? You trust but verify, right? What is your source for news? If it's CNN, oh, God bless your heart, as they would say in the South, right? But again, I called out faux news earlier, and even Newsmax. Newsmax got really, they're not journalists, they're teleprompter readers. Where are you getting your real news from of people like a Rick Walker or myself, who is digging under the covers and doing some actual journalism to get to the nitty gritty of it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it? Like I always say on my Constitutionalist show, I'm not going to just give you my personal preferred spin. I'm going to give you all of it. You know, it's part of what Rick does here, the honesty. So you see it all, and you know when you see the propaganda from either side that truth generally, obviously, there is in the middle, because those on the left want to stir up this notion of the Civil War, and there are some on the right whose palms are getting greased that are stirring up those same things. Oh, there's going to be a civil war. People, there are like 50 million people in the United States not registered to vote. I go into this in constitutionalist politics. If just half of those lazy bastards got off their ass, registered to vote, assuming they're real Christians, and followed the Bible and applied biblical practice to their politics rather than trying to twist and warp the Bible to fit their worldview, if 25 million other real Christians woke up, paid attention, and voted, they couldn't cheat enough to defeat us, because Biden really won, for all the pomp and circumstances, the last election by 55, fraud, whatever, all aside, just the raw number, 55,000 votes across 5 states. And I'm talking 50 million people not registered to vote. We only need 10% of that in 10 states, and they could never defeat us.
So, talking about truth, I think we were getting some truth today from Trucker G, who is also on his way down to Eagle Pass. And we have a little clip from Trucker G here now that we're going to share with you. He was in touch with some of the main organizers. I know that he has been, trying to address, like many others, some of the, I guess, gargantuan claims that created some gargantuan expectations heading into this convoy, with predictions of as many as 700,000 trucks supposed to be participating in this convoy. Of course, we don't have anywhere near that. We have, probably in this one convoy, what, Joseph, what would you say, 100 and some vehicles, maybe? I don't know.
But that's still, in my mind, a significant number, because again, each one of them represents another 1,000 who can't be there, if we're talking truckers in this case, because they've got to haul shit to earn a living. They're busy earning a living. They can't take the time to do this.
Sure. So let's pick up this this clip with Trucker G. Here we go into Trucker G's cab.
That I'm going to say, but I'm just going to say it. You see my first video, I talked to one of the lead organizers from the Texas convoy, and he went over what his vision of this convoy was going to be, and he wants to be a peaceful revival style convoy. And we discussed that, but he shot me a text yesterday, and basically he said, "Gee, I need some help." He goes, "I need help trying to squash the false narrative of the mainstream media." And I told Mrs. G, I said, "I'm going to have to give Robert a call." And it was Robert A.G. I'm talking about. So I gave Robert A.G. a call last night, and we had a good conversation. And I'll kind of go over that conversation that we had. And when I talked to him, I said, "What's going on, Robert?" And he started telling me, basically that he's having a lot of trouble with the false narrative, a lot of rumors, a lot of lies going around. And I went ahead and I told him, "Robert," I go, "Well, I'll tell you what my response was." I said, "Robert," I said, "I'm a very blunt and forward kind of guy. I don't sugarcoat nothing. And all you that know me, you know how I am. I don't sugarcoat anything." I said, "It's going to be hard to get in front of the mainstream media and false narrative. It's going to be hard to squash it, should I say." you guys made some mistakes, and the best way to get in front of something like is to not allow it to happen to begin with. You got to be precise and direct and very honest with what you're doing. And I'll explain what I mean. I said, when you guys put up your website and named your event, Take Back Our Border, that was one of your mistakes. That insinuates that it's called to action. The other mistake was the guy standing in front of the fence, holding hands like they're going to block the fence. That was another mistake. It's another thing to insinuate a call to action. Another mistake was putting the number 700,000 anywhere on your website. I know I got some black saying, well, gee, she never said that. She never said that. It said that it would take 700,000. You don't put no kind of numbers on it. And I explained to him, during the first convoy, there was an article that I read the very day that I showed up at Atlanta, and it said there's going to be 2,000 trucks there. And first thing I did is look for the other lead organizers, and I said, who in the heck wrote this? Who said anything about 2,000 trucks? He said, it was one of the groups that were helping out. I said, there isn't going to be 2,000 trucks here. You never put a number on something, because as soon as you put a number on it, people expect that number to happen, whether that's what you meant or not. All they see is that number. Let's just say that 100,000 people showed up at that event. Heck, I'd call it a success with 100 people, to be honest with you. But if only 100 people show up, 700,000 is what people are expecting, because they've seen that number, no matter what that number meant, and they're going to be disappointed. And Robert said, yeah, I didn't really have nothing to do with the flyer or the website and what picture was used. He goes, I kind of thought the same thing. But that's hindsight, that's something that you can't change. It's already out there. It's been done. And no big deal. What you got to do is figure out how you're going to come back from this and how you're going to set the record straight. And the only way you can do that is keep making videos and keep putting press releases out there reiterating what your intentions are. And that's the revival and prayer. And I still told Robert, I said, if 40 people show up, I'll find this a success. I can't even say it. Success. I said, because those 40 people praying right there with you, you have a million other people sitting at home that can't afford or don't have the help to be there, that are praying right along with you.
I said that.
And that's kind of the conversation we had. It's tough. I wish they would have gone about it a different way. He said he didn't do the flyer or the post, the flyer or the website and stuff. And I said, well, whoever did it, they're either ignorant, and I don't mean that in a bad way. That means just they didn't know what they were doing, or they knew exactly what they were doing, and they were trying to boost numbers and get people riled up to just show up, knowing that's not what your intentions were. He goes, gee, my intentions were never to create any action or to have any action. My intentions were just that, just to pray, and the power of prayer is tremendous. Guys, now I'm going to speak to you from my heart. If 700,000 people don't show there, even if 100,000 or 50,000 or 1,000 don't show up there, don't think of this as a failure. It's like I said, there's a million other people that just can't be there, me being one of them, that are praying right along with them. The other thing is I wouldn't expect a lot of trucks to be there. Is it because truckers don't care? No, it's not because truckers don't care. It's because we're having a hard time out here right now. we're barely, a lot of us are barely surviving. And we can't afford to do it. And I know some people can say, well, gee, you can afford to go home. Why can't you go there instead? Well, my home's only 100 miles away from where I've got to be delivered. Actually, I think I got a load that's going to be delivered in about 30 miles from the house, which is even better. So it don't cost me that much to run my truck from 30 miles to 100 miles as it would be for me to go 1,000 miles over there. It's a lot of money to run these trucks. And I don't mean just fuel. I've got truck payment. I've got insurance. I've got permits, you name it. Those bills don't stop. Maintenance. I mean, like I said, those bills don't, it costs me a lot of money to run this truck. And the same goes for the other drivers out here. It costs them a lot of money to run their trucks. These company drivers, they can't just take their trucks there, not without their company's permission. So don't hold it against the truck drivers for not being there. I know so many people, and I've heard it for quite a while. Well, you truck drivers could solve this whole problem. Stop relying on everybody else. All we can do is our own part. And if you don't think enough is being done, step up. Maybe it's your turn. Maybe if you feel that way deep enough, then something in your heart's telling you that you need to step up. I had one gentleman say in the comment yesterday, it's why are truck drivers joining another convoy for the border when we should be protesting these rates and these rates and trucker issues? And my comment back to him was, organize it, make it happen, and I'll promote it. He comes back with, I don't need your promotion. I need to know if you're going to show up. I said, well, if it's a solid enough organization and a solid enough plan, then I'll be there. Because it has to do with me making money.
Absolutely.
So, I'll throw it over to you for a comment.
Yeah, he kind of reiterated a lot of everything I said. The one thing he said that I didn't, and we kind of hadn't touched on, is indeed the number thing. The media has been playing it up too because they want to be able to portray it, as he says, as a failure. So they want the numbers to be bumped and padded. And then if it doesn't turn out to be X, they'll then go 24/7. Oh, it's a failure. This didn't happen. This isn't really how people feel. But he's right, like I said. For every one person, there's 100, 1,000, 10,000, potentially more that one person represents. So if it's 1,000 people, that really could mean 1,000,000 people.
I guess it depends on how you look at
it. Well, Antifa plays that game, right? BLM plays that game, but they've got the media to back them up. They show up with small numbers and they do tight camera angles to make it look like they're bigger than what they are, and the media plays it up. The exact opposite is good. Like we saw that one video where he was showing, the cars and the people are spread out. So there's space being taken up, but they're going to use the wide angle and say, look, there's next to nobody there. This was a nothing burger. These are the games, Orwell style, they play. And people need to wake the fuck up to these facts.
Well, they're still en route. They're still picking up more and more people. They started out only with about 20 vehicles in the first convoy. Now there are apparently several, and rolling not just to Eagle Pass, but also locations in Arizona.
Well, that's
and
the
California.
other thing too, is they're spreading themselves out. Whereas one big thing or a bunch of littler things. So again, they can then focus on the Texas thing, and it was a nothing burger. Meanwhile, there's really 10 other like things that may have had even more people. So again, these are the numbers games the media plays. And like I said, Rick, I'm going to have to duck out because
Yes,
I
sir.
do have a thing at 8, and I'm hoping to try to get the stupid headphones working for that. So I need to play with that a bit. Thanks for having me on again, brother. I greatly appreciate it. You know I love you, and I'll talk to you again sometime soon.
All right. Thank you for helping us out tonight, Joseph. Always appreciate having you here. Appreciate you. Okay, folks. We have a lot more ground to cover tonight, a lot of other stuff coming up. So don't go away. You're not going to want to miss what we have coming up.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Hello there, I'm back, and so are you. You can support the channel by donating at either, where are we at here? You guys know the drill. Well, the main one is, here it is here, maverickdonations.com. You can donate there at the Give, Send, Go, or you can help us out and cover the bills at freedomreporters.com. Fund the operation. Help us with the coverage that we continue to provide here, like you're getting tonight and like you're going to get on Sunday as we cover the situation in East Palestine, like we provide every night, giving you guys a voice. And yes, we still have some of these shirts. We have, well, these are the SST shirts with the silver metallic embroidery, or these Maverick News shirts. Anybody donating $60 or more for these Dickies shirts with the embroidered logo, I'll send you one of these shirts. Just send me a note when you donate and let me know what size you need. We also have these hoodies. I think we've still got some. Yeah, we still have some of these hoodies left. Yeah, same thing, $60 donation or more. And these are really nice. I'll send you a hoodie with the logo on it. This is actually a sweatshirt. I think we've got a few sweatshirts too. And t-shirts. Donations of $30 or more, and I can send you a t-shirt. And it is the beginning of the month. We have bills to cover off, as always. So the support is greatly, greatly appreciated. And of course, every politician is out there trying to raise funds as well, including RFK Jr. And as you can see from this report, he spent more in the last quarter on his campaign than they raised, and they left $5.4 million in the bank. So I don't know how to assess exactly where RFK Jr. is at with his campaign. He seemed to have some real momentum I think he's kind of plateauing here for the moment, flatlining just a little bit at a certain level. He sometime back replaced his campaign manager. I think they're going in a bit of a different direction. I think he's been bogged down by this Israel issue, the war in Gaza. I think that hurt him because his base was expecting him to just come in strong and support the Palestinian position, and he has not done that. Quite the opposite, actually. He's been, focused very much on supporting Israel. But I don't know, the whole campaign doesn't seem to have much of momentum at the moment. He needs to, in my view, actually start to campaign. I think he's politicking more than campaigning at the moment. This whole thing with Israel, Palestine, it really sidetracked him and sucked the momentum out of everything he was doing. So we'll continue to monitor his situation on the campaign trail, because hopefully he gets back on it. It makes the race a little bit more interesting, because Donald Trump, it looks like, could wrap up the nomination literally in record time on the GOP side. Nikki Haley's still kind of hanging in there, but yeah, it looks like it looks like the campaign this time around could wrap up faster than any race for a nomination in American political history. He has just dominated so decisively his GOP opponents that it could be a new record. All that has to happen now is Nikki Haley has to kind of just get out of the way and hand it over to him. And I don't know what to say about that other than what I just said. What else do we have for you tonight? Medical assistance in dying. The other day, we told you, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before. Yesterday, Canada's health minister, Mark Holland, saying they were looking at extending or delaying, rather, the plan to expand doctor-assisted suicide in Canada. The Liberals want to provide doctor-assisted suicide to people with mental illness. Very controversial. Now it looks like that expansion will be delayed until at least maybe 2027. And they were looking at getting this in place within, I think, maybe even as early as next month. And now pushing it ahead that far. And you all know where I stand on this. I'm so very opposed to this. Really bothers me. It really does. Anyway, we have Mark Holland here in the scrum coming up for you. Let's pick this up and get these comments.
Table legislation with respect to medical assistance in dying.
Hang on. So they did file this legislation or table it today.
Cause with a 3-year extension. It will allow in 2 years for there to be a parliamentary review to assess the state of readiness of the system at this time. I can say that I have communicated with all of my provincial counterparts. I haven't had an opportunity with my territorial counterparts on this, but their response was very favorable, as I think you'll hear. They really do feel that they need more time to be able to look at this. I will state again that the question at issue here is a question of readiness. We accept equivalency in the suffering of mental suffering and physical suffering. And of course, here we're talking about mental illness. It shouldn't be conflated with mental health concerns. But I will lastly say that the time that we have to adopt this is limited. We certainly are having conversations, Minister Barani and I, with our opposition counterparts, because we have a looming date in March by which we have to get this done in limited sitting days. But I once again want to thank the Joint Committee for its work. So the committee process really on the Senate and House side has been completed through that work. And the consultations they had and the recommendations were key to the decision that was made today in the legislation that we tabled. I'll turn it over to Minister Farani, and then je peux répéter les choses en français.
And I'll just add to that, we've also had some conversations with Senator Mark Gold with respect to the assistance of the Senate in ensuring the expeditious passage of this bill. We reflected on this very clearly in terms of what we've learned from not just this most recent study by the Joint Committee, but it's really actually the second study of this issue reflected on that. And what we are saying to Canadians is that because of the significance of the decision, because of the nature of the consequences of this kind of policy, we have to ensure that we get it right, and we are determined to do just that. And putting a pause on it for the next 3 years will ensure the system readiness, which is what the healthcare system has indicated is required and what Canadians are asking. Thank you.
That's enough. The Conservatives are opposed. They want it stopped. The Liberals, they want to push ahead with it. Man. Not my thing. Okay, let's go back to the live feed here from Soup Mama, Dripping Springs, Texas. They're on their way to either pass, border protest.
Looking at this monstrous COVID and wondering when it was going to affect us. My answer that day to that lady was, ma'am, if I am respond around the world, how can I not when my own country needs me? But she asked me, you know how to work in untraditional settings, chaotic environments, and little supplies. I said, ma'am, you're singing my song. What are you really asking? That's when she asked me, would I serve in New York City? I saw some things in New York City that I can guarantee I will stand up and make sure we never see again in our country. I came back from New York City after 93 days. I'd fly out on Friday, work Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, come back to Michigan on Monday, work in my office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because we never shut down, and I continue to treat my patients. But what I saw, I thought, how dare they? Forbidding physicians to prescribe medications that were safe, shutting.
Okay, so at the risk of getting banned, hang on just a second here.
Again, do that, ladies and gentlemen. We can never again. And we need a real physician in Senate that can help Rand Paul and say, no, Fauci needs to be tried to the extent of the law. He's not a physician. And we need physicians that are going to stand up and protect we the people. Ladies and gentlemen, it's starting in Texas tonight, but it's not going to end in Texas. As Ted Nugent said tonight, it's time we take Michigan back, and it's time we take state by state back so that we can take our great nation back once again. As Victor, who's running for Congress, has said, and I met Victor at Turning Point, what a great brother. It's Christian people like that, like Ryan Zink, that is standing up and saying, we will lead the charge. But you know what? It's time that we, the people, arise. And if there's any of you in the audience that are not arising, not getting behind, we need to. Why? Because it is we, the people, for the people, by the people, and we will take our nation back. Guys, every system in DC needs to be dismantled. Every three-letter alphabet, the DOE, the DOD, the DOJ, the FBI, the CIA. That's right. We need to do this. Guys, I'm Dr. Sherry O'Donnell, running for United States Senate in Michigan. I want you to go to my website, like it forward, hit that donate button. They're saying $30 to $50 million. It's not cheap. I've laid it all down just as you are calling. This is the clarion alarm. The clarion alarm, it is time. The alarm has been sounded. It is time for every American loving, freedom loving patriot to stand up and take our great nation back now. We don't have time. Dr. Sherry O'Donnell from Michigan, standing with Texas, standing with our great country. DocSherry2024.com. Get me in Senate. Senate is one of 100 votes. I will be your vote come November. Get me elected. Doc Sherry 2024. God bless America. God bless Texas.
God bless this woman. Speaking of which, we got a good friend of mine here. His name is Chris Bird. Well, he's on his way here. Here he comes. God bless that woman. And this man right here, provisional attorney for the convoy, is a good friend of mine. Sometimes we spend hours up in that room. And thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Doc. How is everyone? Wow, it's so great to be right here. I wish y'all could see how beautiful you are. Welcome to Texas, if you're not from here, and if you are, well, howdy. My name is Chris Bird. I am on the board of directors for the Republican Party of Texas. Why does that matter? I'm going to tell you the Republican Party of Texas is more conservative today than it's ever been. Lots of freedom fighters, patriots are on the committee with me, and we are trying to hold our lawmakers accountable when they go against our policies that we pass. And we've got one of the most conservative planks in the country. So I just be thinking about the Republican Party of Texas next time when you hear that. Just know that they're in the trenches fighting with you. By the way, does anybody know why the state of Texas has 31 senators? How many chapters are in the book of Proverbs? Proverbs, you're cheating. 31 chapters in Proverbs, 31 senators in Texas. Why does Texas have 150 members of the House? There's 100, and you keep cheating over there. There's 150 chapters in Psalms. Isn't that great? That's why our Texas legislature is built the way it is. I've been asked to introduce our rep for HD 73, Carrie Isaac. And Carrie and I have known each other for a good long while, and that relationship started back when Jason actually was running for Congress. And I knew Jason probably 10 years ago. So known the family for a very long time. And of course, Carrie Isaac is your House rep right here in Hays County where we sit. A couple of things about Carrie. She wasn't supposed to win. She was not supposed to win. The establishment had the election rigged. They held up her mailers in Hays County. She won by 235 votes, I think it was, and only won one polling location. Only won one polling location in Comal County. All the rest of them, she barely lost, but she kept fighting and fighting it. I've never seen anybody knock more doors. I've never seen anybody just continue to take on whatever the challenges there were. And when she got into the House and took her seat, after the session was over, she was voted Freedom Caucus. I'll just change the name, Patriot of the Freedom Caucus. One of the things, y'all know what diversity, equity, and inclusion means? They do know. They do know. Because of Carrie and the rider that she put in the appropriations bill in higher education, she defunded with that rider DEI. And another thing I wanted to tell you about, you know how many House reps we had that did not buy the bunk that got crammed down their throats to impeach our great Attorney General, Ken Paxton? 23. And I knew something was up when the night before Governor Perry called up Carrie, put just a little bit of pressure on her. That was wrong. That was wrong. That tells you a lot. But she stood her ground. She stood her ground. She voted her conscience, and she is one of the 23 that voted against the impeachment. So I'm very happy to introduce my dear friend, Carrie Isaac. You will not find a stronger patriot, Carrie.
Hello, Patriots! I want to welcome the Take the Borders Back convoy to Central Texas. I'm so glad you're here. According to our U.S. Constitution, our federal government shall protect states from an invasion. Are we being invaded? We have encountered over 300 terrorists at our southern border. How many terrorists did it take to pull off 9/11? Less than 20. China has killed more than 250,000 Americans here in Texas due to fentanyl poisoning. We must secure our border. We do not have a sovereign nation without a secure border. Amen? I stand with Governor Abbott. I want to encourage him to stand strong against a tyrannical government, the Biden administration that is putting us in danger. Thank you again for spreading the word and bringing attention to this invasion at our border. God bless you, and I pray for peace and safety as you continue your convoy. Thank you again. Build the wall. Build the wall. Build the wall. Build the wall. Build the wall.
Wow, thank you, Carrie. A powerful voice right there. We have another very special guest right here from this area, Canyon Lake. That's close enough, right? Might as well be Dripping Springs. A man who's done quite a bit he's a J6 defendant. If you knew all that he's been doing for the people who've been illegally detained in the Gulag in D.C., the District of Columbia, you would have a lot of respect for him. I have a lot of respect for him. And I believe God has called him to do this. And he's also involved in the child trafficking issues. He's got some personal situations going on there. And I'm just thankful for him, and I want to give him an opportunity to address all y'all. Trentus Evans, he's a father, he's a husband, he's a friend of the community, he's a patriot. He's working to defend and preserve the freedom and liberty now and for future generations. He's a business owner, political activist, public speaker, J6 defendant, political writer, creator of CondemnedUSA.com, and co-founder of A4Justice.org. Please help me welcome Trentus Evans.
I see a lot of fantastic people showed up here today. That's right. Ashley Babbitt was murdered.
Yeah.
You know, God said the meek shall inherit the earth. He didn't say we had to give it to them. This is a nation a lot of people have told you about. A lot of people have reminded you of the blood spilled and the loss and the dedication and all that has been given to preserve freedoms for this generation. We stand here in a moment where people are actually starting to gather again. And cowards suggest that you don't come. Cowards suggest that you ignore your First Amendment right to assemble in these United States. Cowards are not my people. The people that are here are my people. The kind of people that went to January 6th There's a lot of you here, you just haven't been arrested yet. But I'll be there for you when you are. I don't know if I can help, but I'm going to try. I'm going to tell you a quick story about what's happened to me since January 6th. The fast version, as fast as I can, and Robert's just not going to have to get over his timer. Sorry, Robert. On January 6th, I entered the United States Capitol singing the national anthem. It's on video. And I drank a shot of whiskey, allegedly in Nancy Pelosi's office. I'm not going to apologize because Laura Logan told me to stop doing that a long time ago. It's actually Laura Logan's fault that I refuse to apologize anymore. My intent was to demonstrate peacefully. Kind of like those Hamas people that demonstrated, or anyone else. Yet here I am. I've been to federal prison. I was held where the 9/11 terrorists were held in a maximum security facility on a misdemeanor. Odd. Don't you think it's a little bit odd that in solitary confinement, thank you for reminding me. I forget the details because I've got other things to worry about, bigger fish to fry. Don't you think it's a little bit odd that the most armed populace on the face of the planet chose to take on the largest military industrial complex to ever exist with plastic flagpoles and megaphones? Just a little bit odd. I think they'd know if we came for an insurrection, wouldn't they? I hope that they don't push it there, because I believe that we have good people here that want to do this peacefully and legally. These are the kind of people that assembled for this event. How many people came here for this event, for peaceful, legal, First Amendment protected assembly, to bring attention to the atrocity at the border where fentanyl is killing our children, your children, destroying this country with illegal voters, to take over your nation? Whose nation? Thank you for clarifying that. The federal government covered up the fact that I captured a federal human trafficking fugitive that escaped from prison. I'm going to say it again. I captured a federal human trafficking fugitive that escaped from prison in August of 2021. And the federal government covered that up. That's odd. Then, the day before sentencing, they finally admitted to possession of this information and said, "Oh, Mr. Evans, but we don't need vigilantes like that." They had the audacity to call me a vigilante for capturing a federal human trafficking fugitive in the state of Texas. Who's a fan of that kind of nonsense? Let me ask you this question. How many of you would bring a federal human trafficking fugitive that escaped from prison to justice? Show of hands? Is that not what America's built on? How many of you would turn in your neighbor because they were standing on the grass praying on January 6th? That's what this administration, this regime wants. That's the kind of people we're dealing with. Something else you need to know. Little something else. Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, is not responsible for any insurrection. They said in the Colorado case, the first one where they tried to remove him from the ballot, they played a video of me on the Capitol steps, fraudulently produced and timestamp edited by the January 6th Select Committee, entered into evidence on June 9th, 2022. That was a fraud. They wanted you to believe that he gave a dog whistle and that I provided that speech on the steps at 2:24 p.m. to which the insurrection began. If that's the case, somebody explain to me why over 130 people are charged with felonies for events that happened before 2:24 and that people were inside the building for over 20 minutes based on Donald Trump's 2:24 tweet that said Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect this country and our Constitution. Did Mike Pence have the courage to do it? No. Is Mike Pence the kind of man you want running the country? No. Is Donald Trump the kind of man you want running this country? Hell yeah. Can I get it one more time, Donald Trump? How many of you believe in a man that wanted to protect your border? How many of you would believe in a man that wanted to stop child trafficking and told you that there was a corrupt administration running a child trafficking scheme, pedophiles in this government. How many of you are sick of that? I'm going to ask you this. How many people know that 1,300 people now have been arrested for January 6th? 640 adjudicated cases, people sitting in prison, grandma, grandpa. People that came with the strollers and the kids, as the brave Congressman Sparks said. Decorated veterans. 72% of the men and women that sit behind bars, pre-trial detainment, were either law enforcement or veterans. How do you feel about that, sir? Bullshit. That's right. Right, I'd have been better off to have had gay sex on the floor of the House and been a Hamas terrorist. That would be permissible. Those people aren't in trouble. Let me tell you another thing that you don't understand. I have worked tirelessly for 3 years for January 6th defendants. I don't make money from this. I've never been paid a dime for my efforts. And I don't want money. I want freedom. I want a constitutionally correct path for this government. I want what all of you want and deserve, not only for us. I see a lot of faces in this crowd. We're old enough to get through this. We might just kind of skim by. But what about your children? What about your grandchildren? What about the generations in your family tree that you may never know? Can they live under the shade of the ethos of the work that you do here today? Your peaceful, patriotic demonstration shall not be assaulted by this leftist insane coup that took over your country. How many people in this crowd support the idea that January 6 people like Ryan Zink stand in office? These are better Americans. You're guilty of trespassing. You committed the atrocity of an assault on the building where more crimes are committed than any other building on the face of the planet, where more liberties have been destroyed, where more lives have been cost, the casualties are deep, and the blood runs thick in this nation because of what has happened from the aspects of the interest of the people in that building. The United States Capitol is not a place that represents you. How many people believe this legislature represents them? The United States Congress, do those people represent your interests? Does this judiciary represent your interests? Do you believe there's a belligerent occupant that stole this country at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? Then what the hell are we doing talking about it? Why are we still putting up with it? We don't have to raise up arms. We have to raise up our faith. We have to raise up our interest. We have to show up and push back. Isn't that the words of Maxine Waters? Aren't those the words of Nancy Pelosi? They called it democracy in action when people stood and they took the House in Michigan and held it for 2 weeks. They called it democracy in action. Nancy Pelosi rushed to the scene. What I'm telling you people is they're going to steal your election again. We all know it's coming. And I ask you to decide if you're going to be the kind of American that slinks away, cries on social media, and whines in the darkness as your country is overtaken. Or are you going to be the kind of American that stands up for justice and peacefully assembles and says, hell no, we won't go? Will you be pushed off of your peaceful and patriotic demonstration to go to come out of Texas and join us there? Are you going to be there? Every American should be there. The sins and atrocities happening in this country are a putrid rot. And everyone that fails to show up to dissent peacefully against that kind of an action, against what's happening in our country, uplifting men like Robert A.G., a dear friend of mine. This is a humble servant of the Lord, and I'm going to tell you what, I hope to be as good a man as Robert A.G. one day. It probably won't happen. Yes, Laura Logan, thank you so much. You're right. I ask you to please, my son is over there at my booth. You'll see some flyers over there. They have pictures of my 13-year-old son who was put at gunpoint with little red dots on him. Go see it for yourself. When he was trying to go to school, when the Joint Terrorism Task Force raided my home for being present inside the Capitol saying Do not harm the police. Do not damage the building. This is a peaceful protest. Over and over, repetitively, ad nauseum. I drove 1,400 miles across the country to yell, "Stop the steal." 3 times, November, December, January. And then I abandoned that when I heard some people saying things that I didn't support. And I spoke out for the Capitol Police. And I spoke out for peace and people to have better senses. And yet they came for me, and they did what they did to my family by arresting me with a joint terrorism task force after speaking to me. We begged. I said, I'll turn myself in, bring all my stuff, bring the video. We have all the peaceful evidence that I was there. They didn't want that. They wanted a headline. They wanted a shit show on somebody's property. They're looking for someone to get froggy. It happened right down here in Hays County to a dear friend of mine. They brought over 100 agents, helicopters, planes, rammed through his gates. Some of you know that story. There are brave and patriotic people in this country. I look forward to knowing more of them. I've met a hell of a lot of them through January 6th. And I met a lot of them through a man like Robert Agee. I ask that you please support the efforts of Condemned USA. We've spent almost $200,000 personally. I'm not a wealthy man. I don't get paid. I do this every day and every night. And there's countless people like Laura Logan and Robert Agee that will tell you that this happens. I have cases in front of the Supreme Court now. I'm not a lawyer. How's that happen? I'm testifying for certain people that we all know and love. I ask you that if you support peace, unity, the Constitution and Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the kind of ideology that formed this nation, a nation of God-fearing individuals that wanted something better. If you're not going to slink away from that, and you're willing to make a choice in this time, it may be costly. The chains may be heavy, but do you want them for yourself? Will you wear the chains, or you want to pass them on to your children? Wear the chains with me. Step forward. Stand up. Give it to the January 6th people. Help me help them. We're working for you. We're working for America. God bless you, and thank you for having me here to speak tonight.
Love that man right there. You know, I thought he was a Fed the first time I saw him. Seriously, I was down in San Antonio at the Reawaken America Tour conference. This guy came up to my booth. He started talking about J6, and I was like, babe, I don't trust this guy. I think he's a Fed. And at the very end, you know, the Lord put on my heart that I needed to mention something when I got up there during my speaking spot. And I never got caught up on day 2. I was like, I was so concerned. I wasn't concerned about getting up there and speaking. I was concerned that I wasn't going to mention this man Trennis that I met. Now, as I was sitting there, next thing I know, there's Trennis up on the platform speaking, the very last speaker out there at the Reawaken conference. The Lord said, I took care of it. Like, oh, well, very good. And then he said, now I want you to go up there and pray for him. I'm like, what? You want me to go do what? And ever since then, after my wife and I prayed for him, wife anointed him with oil. It's been such an incredible journey to watch what he's done and how the Lord has used him to fight for our J6ers and the incredible opportunities that he's had. So we're just so thankful for Trennis. Hey, I want to remind everybody, this is not just Texas that's happening on February 3rd. We have another rally that's happening in San Ysidro, California on Saturday, February 3rd. There's another one happening in Yuma, Arizona on the same day. There's 3 simultaneous rallies taking place. And if you go to takeourborderback.com, there's more information there. There's locations. There's X accounts for each one of them, Telegram accounts, so you can follow along. And we're going to be simulcasting this event out of Texas. We'll be pulling in. So San Ysidro is going to have their event in the morning. And then they're going to get in their cars and they're going to convoy over to Yuma, Arizona to join up with them and have one large rally that day. And we're going to have a feed going. We're going to be showing Yuma, Arizona and K-Motto. I got to keep correcting myself. I keep wanting to call it Q-Motto. That's what we do in Texas, Q-Motto. at the same time. So you'll be seeing the speakers in both areas and presenting and the atmosphere in both locations throughout the day. So make sure you tune in for that live feed. We have another special guest with us here today. She was actually on the People's Convoy. I remember seeing her feed. Half the feed I think I was watching was right out of her car. She doesn't need much of an introduction. Everybody knows Ann Vandersteel, right? She's doing an incredible job down at the border right now, standing in the gap where our politicians aren't doing, exposing the corruption, exposing the child trafficking, the drug trafficking, and all the other issues that are going on. So we're thankful that Ann Vandersteel is here with us today, and she has some words. Please, Ann.
All right, everybody. I don't know about you, but I'm fired up. It is we the people. Let's go. All right, it's we the people. That's what our founding fathers' documents put out there. It was never about them, the bureaucrats, them, the World Economic Forum, the scumbags, the District of Criminals and Corruption, that dumpster fire known as 10 square miles of Washington Swamp, D.C. It is not about them. When Nancy Pelosi says we are a threat to her democracy.
Sorry, a little bit of a freezing here on the feed, but it'll come back. Hang tight. It'll come back.
Guess what, folks? She ain't lying. They are a legislative democracy, and we are what? We're a constitutional republic. We are standing on our Constitution right now, and we are taking it all back. As Pete Santilli says, we have 14 days to flatten the deep state. Forget the curve. We're going to flatten the deep state. Now, listen, I have done a lot of reporting, and yes, I was on the People's Convoy, and it was a blessing. And I have a very special guest I'm going to bring up here in a second. But I've reported about all the problems now for 8 years, and I'm over the problems. Who is sick of the crap coming out of D.C.? Who is sick of the crap coming out of your own state governments, your own municipal governments? Are they paying attention to you guys, the people? No, they're not listening to any of us.
Again, sorry for the freezing. It'll come back. It's coming back. Bear with me.
But we're going to make them listen. And we're going to show you how, because I'm all about solutions now. I am so done. I don't even read the papers anymore. I look at the headlines and go, oh, the hell, nothing changes. We are the change agents. Let's be the change agents. They want to label us domestic terrorists, as they did me, put me on the domestic terror list. I got to second base of the TSA 6 times a week. Screw that. I didn't even get kissed when they're feeling me up. I'm over it. So here's the deal. We're going to take it all back, and we're talking about tactical civics. We're talking about teaching the people what their real duty is, how they can stand up a grand jury, how they can actually stand up a true Second Amendment militia, a certified standing militia, not people running around the jungle with paint on their face like Comey would have you believe. I'm talking about real organized, the people. This is our government, and we are going to take it back. We've been taking back our school systems. We took the masks off our kids. We stopped the shots in our military. We had
Sorry, folks. We had a major shutdown there. Something just reached in here and shut everything down. I've never had that happen before. That is bizarre. I think we are still rolling. I think we're still live. Hang on here. I'll run this brief transition and I'll find a workaround, but something just shut us right down. Unbelievable.
Feel the vibrations. Our quest continues. The truth is out there. We are Mavericks.
So when
Here we
we
go, we're
say
going back.
everyone, all eyes on Colorado right now, everyone hones in, we're all focused, and more details will come forward. We are going to have a huge website, the People's Operation Restoration, and there's a lot of groups. Everyone needs to learn common law, and there's a lot of schools that are going to be popping up to teach that to you. We all need to learn a different way of being. We've been brainwashed into thinking we're subservient to our leaders. We're the leaders, and it's time we lead the rest of the world to freedom and out of this darkness. So I'm going to ask all of you right now to join the Army of Light. We'll be announcing it in a couple weeks. Ann Vandersteel is on, and we're going to shine light in the darkness, and they're going to run. I just want you to understand, she's sitting on some paperwork right now, and we're going to ask Pete Chambers, Lieutenant Colonel Pete Chambers, to join us here on the stage. This is absolutely historic what's going to happen right now. You are witnessing history. You are all part of the history. COVID was a fraud that was internationally corroborated and conspired. President Biden, Justin Trudeau. Is anybody familiar with the Declaration of North America that Biden signed with Trudeau and Obrador from Mexico? You all familiar? January 10th of 2023, they dissolved the borders between Canada, United States, and Mexico and said, we welcome diversity, equity, inclusion, and we welcome migrants from all over the world into America. They signed it. It is in the Federal Register. You can look it up, okay? But COVID had to happen so they could actually steal the election. This document has thousands of examples of fraud, crime, human trafficking, treason. But what's most important here that set it all off is we have an affidavit and we have the evidence. This is huge. Of a gentleman who found out how they were transmitting COVID through the air. They aerosolized COVID. I was poisoned by that aerosolized COVID. It happened at CPAC. They have the evidence, and guess what? Trudeau knew it, and so did Biden, and they worked together. All that evidence chain has been presented. This is going out, and we're going to start with right here. We were in the Texas legislature today, and we're going forward with the Texas Attorney General this weekend, but we're now going to serve this directly to a Texian Ranger, and we're asking you humbly, Lieutenant Colonel Pete Chambers of the Texian Rangers, to please investigate the crimes against humanity in this document. Do you accept?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
This is not insignificant. We are rebirthing this country, and you all are part of the founding fathers of America. Let's bring it home. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. But y'all, please follow me on Twitter. We're going to continue to update this. And when that website goes live, seriously, the People's Operation Restoration, if you thought the People's Convoy was significant, if you think this convoy is significant, we're bringing everybody with us because we're going after all these SOBs that have tried to destroy America. America's going to stand in the gap for the rest of the world. We will not let them take us down. There's no such thing as one world government. That's it. Love you guys. Oh my God, wait a minute. Where'd you go? Michael Yon, get up here. No. That's the man right there. You want to know where border comes from? Nothing gets over the border without Michael Yon. Ladies and gentlemen, I get the honor to introduce this incredible man. He is a Green Beret war correspondent. Nobody spent more time behind enemy lines documenting what goes down.
The reason that Abbott finally succumbed and started investigating what's going on at the border and finally stood up, this man right here, Michael Yan.
Thank you. You know, it's quite strange when we have 3 war correspondents all at the same place at the same time. Lara doesn't need an introduction. Chuck Holton, he's around here somewhere. You don't usually see, if you see 3 war correspondents in the same place at the same time, you're probably in a war, right? Yeah, that's right. Well, I put on a little weight since my real war days, but let me tell you what, I've been down in the Darien Gap. I just came back. Actually, Ann was there. Chuck was there. He's always there. And wherever Taylor Kramer is, he was there. So, again, we've had 4 people in Darien Gap recently. For those who don't know what Darien Gap is, that's, I would say, the main invasion route to the United States for the people coming across the border, right? And it's actually growing. So it's down between Colombia, there's Taylor right there, and Panama. And we've got all kinds of people coming across. And let me tell you something. When I was in the wars, Iraq, Afghanistan, and quite a few other places, I used to carry a camera about this big. People that don't know much about war correspondent work would say, you need a big, long lens. I'm sure Lara's heard that 1,000 times. What you really need is a wide-angle lens. This is a very small, you need a camera about this big. If you're really doing combat, you're right there in it. Like, you're right there in firefights. You're getting splattered with blood. You're getting, it's straight up, right? And one of the things when we were, let's say, in Afghanistan, there's a lot of combat experience here. There's a lot of very serious veterans here that have done years of war. And some of these people will resonate with what I'm saying. When we were out on infantry missions in Afghanistan, I was there as a war correspondent. We would have somebody always monitoring the walkie-talkies of the Taliban, right? And there were certain words that if you heard those words, you know, it was game on. And those were, anybody know what those words were just before it really kicked off? What were those words we would intercept over their radios? Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! When you hear that shit, you better get ready. Your thumb better be flipping off that safety switch and get ready for combat, because this shit's game on, right? Now, when we're down in the Darien Gap, we're seeing Afghans come across constantly. Chuck Holton seen them, Taylor seen them, and Vandersteel seen them, and they're coming across our border every day, right? Let me tell you what, Hamas, are you listening to me? Listen, Hamas is coming across, Hezbollah is coming across, Venezuela is filled with Hezbollah. You understand that? Venezuela is filled with Hezbollah. They speak Spanish fluently. Their soccer team is Venezuelan, right? Their body language is Venezuelan. They grew up in Venezuela. They're coming across constantly. One of the main groups that brings Brett Weinstein just sent. Do you see that message he just sent? Anyway, one of the main funders of this, well, the United States is the main funder, right? Another main funder is actually HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, Jewish, right? This is quite interesting because they are actually funding the people. They're going to come to places like Fort Lauderdale, synagogues, and they're going to scream, Allahu Akbar, and they're going to shoot the shit out of them, right? And they're coming across the border, and it's being funded with Jewish money, right? And highest.org has the names of many of the funders on their website. Our borders are wide open. It's our government that's doing it. It's not the Mexican government. It's the U.S. government is the main funder of what's going on. Anyway, I've said enough. Y'all have a nice night.
Michael Yawn, another Green Beret, right? There's a bunch of us. All right, I want to explain something. This lady here has inspired me. Miss Mona Miller, she's from Branson, Missouri. She's been on a bunch of trucker convoys. She has a story that's going to inspire. And she's been on many different, and it's not necessarily trucker convoys. It's Mama Bears, it's Mona Miller's.
The People's Convoy was never a trucker's convoy.
There you go.
There was always more four-wheelers in that convoy than there ever was trucks. And in this convoy tomorrow, we're going to roll out of here like an army of four-wheelers, pickup trucks, and bicycles and motorcycles, and we're going to take our country back. just need it for a hat. Leave it right there. I was a walking past this here county courthouse square, and on a park bench, an old man was sitting there. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, feller, your old courthouse is mighty run down." And he said, "Well, yeah, but it'll do for our little town." I said, "Yes, sir, but your old flagpole so is a leaning a bit." And that, sir, why, that's the raggediest old flag you got hanging on it. And he said, "Honey, I think you need to have a seat." So I sat down. "Honey, I reckon this here's the first time you've been to our little town. You see, the folks around here, we don't like to brag, but we just happen to be mighty proud of that ragged old flag. You see, she got powder burned the night that Francis Scott Key sat watching her as he was a-writing. Oh, say, can you see why she got cut with a sword down there in Chancellorsville? And she got cut again up there on Shiloh Hill. Why, she got that little bitty hole there the night that General Washington up and took across the Delaware. You know what, honey? She nearly fell at the Alamo. But beside that Texas flag, she waved on, though. Why, she got that big old hole back in World War I from the shell of one of them great big old German Bertha guns. And baby, I'm here to tell you, I seen her turn blood red in World War II. And she hung limp and low a time or two. But she went to Korea, and she stood beside them young boys over there in Vietnam. And proudly, she did 100 days in Saudi out on the burning sand. You know, baby, that old flag, she's went everywhere she's been sent by her Uncle Sam. And proudly, we have always waved her from ships on the briny foam. But the truth is, we just about quit waving her back here at home. Why, in her own homeland, she's being abused. She's been burned, dishonored, denied, and refused. And this here government, for which she stands, why, she's scandalized throughout the land. Do you remember when terrorists came out of the sky and thousands of people would suffer and die? When 911 was the call, when on 911, those towers did fall. But Americans, they stood up and they gave her a hand. And proudly, upon that graveyard rubble, that old flag did stand. Now, I know you might think she's threadbare and wearing kind of thin, but I happen to think she's in pretty good shape for the shape she's in. Why, she's been through the fire before, and I happen to believe she can take a whole lot more. You see, honey, I'm the old feller that raises her up every morning, and I take her down every night. And I never let her touch the ground. And I always take the time to fold her up right. Well, I'll check your thoughts. I do like to brag, because I happen to be mighty proud of that ragged old flag. Everyone, I am going to ask you, I'm giving a call to action right now. I want y'all to take out your M16A1 digital Okay? I want you to dial 9 numbers. I want you to look up the number for the White House. And I want you to dial 9 numbers. Understand, when you call the White House, chances are you ain't going to talk to nobody. But you're going to get to leave a message. And those messages are recorded. And they have to be held for up to 7 years. Now, if all of you people and all of those folks out there in the live stream would pick up their telephone, dial them 9 numbers, and tell Joe Biden, close the damn border down or get the hell out of my house.
Yeah, Miss Mona!
Well, good luck. First of all, she's a treasure. She's a national treasure. Thank you for pointing her out. Right there. Thank you. Because that's an American.
Yes, Mona!
Now, I pray for the next person that has to speak here to follow that. However, it's a good friend of mine, and when she was in Los Angeles, I'm going to tell you how she introduced me. She said, this is Pete Chambers, and he's a pain in my ass. So this is Lara Logan, and she's a pain in my ass.
Good evening, everybody. Well, thank you for being here in the dark and in the cold. I know it's been a long night and you've been hearing a lot of people speak. They say I can't keep it brief, so I'm going to prove them wrong. All the rhinos in the house, could you please get up and leave? And if you're really here as a journalist to write dishonest things and mock people for being Christians and imply that they're domestic terrorists because they want a secure border, can you fuck off? Any of you there? Anybody want to leave? This is your chance. Because you motherfuckers have names and addresses. Yeah. And we're tired of it. We're tired of being accused of being racist when we're not. Because there isn't a race in this country that doesn't want a secure border. Yeah, and a bigot. They don't even know the origins of bigot, which comes from the bigot list from World War II. Look it up. It's got nothing to do with prejudice. It's who was read in and who wasn't. So that's got nothing to do with the way they portray it today. And so what you're seeing around you is people who are tired of being misrepresented, tired of cancel culture, tired of being censored, tired of being silenced. Yes. Right? I mean, they have the cheek. Some asshole journalist, probably about 12 years old, is writing stories about Dr. Pete Chambers questioning his military credentials. He's a flight surgeon for 3rd Group Special Forces. How many lives has that man saved in service of his country? He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve that, but they get away with it. They get away with it because you let them. We let them, all of us, because you're scared. Scared of going to jail, scared of the FBI showing up at your house. Don't fucking lie. You are. Scared of losing your job, scared of not being able to pay the mortgage. Scared. We are, all of us. Me too. Hey, shut the hell up. You want to come up and speak? No, then shut the fuck up. Okay, let's go. But this is the truth, isn't it? We're all scared. We all have a little bit of that. We all have something we don't want to lose. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but you got less than 300 days before it all goes down the toilet. So General Flynn said something to me once, many years ago, about Syria, when the Syrian war had just begun. And we were at the Army Navy Club in Arlington, Virginia, and he said, we have no good options left. Because at that point, the war had progressed to such a bad situation that whichever way you went in, it was going to be ugly, right? We are almost at that moment in the United States. We have a few hundred days left before we have no good options. Because if you think the last 4 years were bad, imagine if you're clinging to the hope that Trump's going to get into power, What's really, what if that doesn't happen in November? What if there is no election? Because it's not guaranteed. So now they're already trying to paint this as if it's a gathering of domestic terrorists. I join you on the terror list. For my crime of speaking at a Moms for Liberty event. That's what got me on the terror list. Imagine that. Just because I said I didn't think that little boys and little girls need to learn how to pleasure older men in the classroom. I don't think that's appropriate. It's got nothing to do with banning anything. I'm a First Amendment person, been First Amendment all my life, will be till the day I die. But I don't have any problem standing up and saying that I don't think 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds need to hear about that or read about it at school. You want to teach them about that at home, that's your business. It's a free country. But for standing up for our children, we get labeled as domestic terrorists. And to understand why, you have to understand the origins of that. The origins of cultural Marxism goes back the 60s generation, free love. These are the people in power now. And who empowered them? The Franklin School that came from Germany right at the beginning of the Second World War. And who did they partner with? Columbia Journalism Schools. And any wonder they don't turn out any journalists. Little indoctrinated robots. Right? Go forth. Go forth and write what we tell you, not the truth, though. Truth will get you in trouble. In fact, truth will get you fired. So I would say to all of you, I'm a journalist. It's not my job to tell you what to do. But people ask me all the time, what do we do? And my answer to that is, why the fuck are you asking me? You were born in the United States of America. You were raised in this country with more individual rights than any nation on earth. All you have to do is read the Constitution. That's all you have to do. And you will know what to do because it's in there. You don't have to break the law. You don't have to be violent. You just have to read the Constitution. Read the God-given rights that were bestowed on you from the day you were born. And stand up. And don't live in fear. We all have fear. Someone much smarter than me said that courage is acting in the presence of fear, right? Mike Flynn told me we can't act out of fear and we can't live in fear. And that's the truth. And the reason we're stuck in this situation is that we don't do anything to help the people who do stand up. That's one reason. So when Tarek Johnson, a 23-year veteran of the Capitol Police, who evacuated both the House and the Senate chamber on January 6th, when he blows the whistle and gives up his career and gives up his pension and his identity and everything to stand up and tell the truth on behalf of this country, what happens to him? He gets fired and tossed out like with the trash. And you barely even know his name. What happened to Lieutenant Colonel Stu Scheller? The only officer brave enough to stand up when we were betraying Afghanistan, the soldiers that we trained, the women that we said, oh no, you're not going to go back to being prisoners of a terrorist organization. The women we lied to and said you can have freedom and you can have equality and you don't have to be beaten every day by the men in your house. We lied to them because in the end, what did we do? We gave them up to the same people that attacked this country on 9/11. They'll tell you it's not. The Taliban's not the same as Al-Qaeda. Really? Have you read their manifesto? What flag do they carry? Oh, yeah, that's right. The same flag. Who's the head of the Afghan Al-Qaeda? The guy that's sitting in the presidential palace, sitting in power now, because we put him there. Haqqani. We put him there. And every day, people are still being murdered in Afghanistan. People who we taught to believe in the ideals of freedom and liberty and justice and God-given rights. And then we pissed all over it and left them to drown in their own blood. That's what we did. Why? We didn't have to. How does an Air Force run without its mechanics? We took all the things that kept the Afghan Air Force in the skies. We took it away. Why? We created a highly mobile special operations component based on ours. And what did we do? We took their wings. And they were slaughtered in front of the cameras for the world to see, to send a message to every other soldier. So when I speak to members of the Afghan resistance today, you know what their greatest problem is? You know why they're not winning? Because they can't recruit people to a failed ideal. They have no allies. Because the greatest light of freedom for the world, the United States of America, pissed all over the ideal of freedom and left them to die. That's what we did. Some of them are sitting in refugee camps still in Dubai, trying to get into the United States while our border is flooded with Chinese. 8,000 in the last month, 27,000 Chinese, mostly adult males. They're not sending battalions, they're sending divisions. They're sending entire armies. Entire armies are already inside this country, and they're all over the country. And if none of you have read the 1999 book by two Chinese colonels, Unrestricted Warfare, you should read it. If you're not familiar with drug warfare, you should become familiar with it. Because it's not an accident that your children or your neighbor's child or someone at school has died of a fentanyl overdose. It's not an accident. It's called drug warfare. So all those people who wanted to get rich with globalization, right? That was another lie we were sold. Everything was going to be better, right? They didn't tell you about the towns across the Midwest that were impoverished. They didn't tell you about all the factories that were closed. They didn't tell you we would never manufacture another thing again because we'd give it all to the Chinese. Who in their right mind thinks that giving a foreign nation manufacturing capability of your entire pharmaceutical industry, does that sound like a good idea for national security? So the only reason you would do that is if you look at the world and the world belongs to you. And if the Chinese Communist Party serves you, not the other way around. That's the only reason you would do that. So when you look at the Chinese flooding over the border, they're not just coming for the CCP. They're coming for our domestic enemies who command those armies, who want them in the country. The CCP serves the global cult. And what have we done about it? Everybody's hoorah, well done, Governor Abbott. Where have you been for the last 3 years, Governor Abbott? What took you so long? Because let me tell you something else. Here's another big lie of the border. And I hope every journalist here is paying attention. You're constantly right. And you paint this box, a political box, that if you want border security, you're a racist and you don't care about innocent people who just want a better life. Is it a better life if you're a pregnant woman who has to report every day to the room behind a gas station where the cartel has you be raped all day long to pay off your debt? Is that a better life? Because Texas Rangers busted that sex trafficking ring 2 years ago. 2 years ago. This is not a secret. If you're an unaccompanied minor, aren't you supposed to be coming here to be reunited with your family? So why are you in the foster care system? Excuse me? Excuse me? Thousands, 85,000 kids have gone missing from 21-22. That doesn't even include 2023. I was with a counter-trafficking organization this weekend that got a list of names. The first two names, they traced and found those kids, and where were they? They'd been given to sex workers. What is a sex worker? That's somebody who gets, these children are being raped for money. And it's not pretty. Even that doesn't describe it. I have interviewed girls who've been trafficked, one of whom was tied to a bed for 11 months, chained. She was there for every soldier that came off the battlefield in Mosul, Iraq. Day and night, day and night, day and night. For 11 months straight, she was raped. And that was after she'd already been sold to her first owner, then to her second owner, then this guy in Mosul was the third one. She was occasionally allowed to eat, and occasionally they unchained her for her to wash. Naked for 11 months. Raped day and night. She lost count. She lost count of the days. She lost count of the men. That's just one 11-month period that she endured. The average age, the average amount of time that a child survives when it's trafficked is 2 years. Talk to anyone in the industry who really knows. Do you know what hurt core is? Yeah, nobody's raising their hand. Good. Hurt core is sadistic pornography. That's what they call it. You can find it on the dark web. That's where a lot of these children go. And they do things like, I don't know, maybe you get 50, 100, 200, 400 guys from all over the world that participate in a gang rape, and they tell them how they want the person tortured, little boys as much as little girls. And, you know, they all participate in the abject, horrific torture of children for their own carnal pleasure. They do other things. Like they'll take a baby or a child, they'll know which veins to cut, because some people like a big blood show when they rape someone to death. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And you know what else? The reason I said you all have names and addresses, you know what? So do those people. And so do the people who store that pornography. So do the people that move it. The same infrastructure that moves your messages and your emails, your photographs, your financial transactions, the same people that move that, move all of that, dark, evil stuff. They own it, they store it. Ericsson stores child pornography in 150 countries. They just signed an agreement with over 800 Gold Star families where they paid them out a settlement for having given targeting information to where US soldiers were on the battlefield so they could be murdered by Al-Qaeda and ISIS in Iraq. That's the company that the United States government allows to handle all of its secret traffic. Is it that secret? If it's running on Ericsson's cables and stored on Ericsson's servers, is it a secret? It's not a secret. And guess what? Right there next to it, all your secrets too. Go to the server farms. There's one in the Nevada desert. Some of them are in mountains. Some of them are in this. Google has one in a cathedral in Barcelona. That's where they store all your information. And it's so valuable, it's secured, more security than they have even at the White House at this point. So think about that. Because Texas today, there's more than 50% of the people trafficked in this country go through Bexar County. Yes. And that's on us. Because we're all waiting for somebody to come and save us. And I hope to God there is someone coming. My husband and I fight about this all the time. He says it would be a lot worse if people weren't working feverishly behind the scenes. But what we know is it's as bad as it's ever been. This is not maybe the most important election in history. This is the most important election in history. Yes. So get off your ass and do something about it.
Laura Logan, everybody. We're gonna be wrapping up. We got a couple more speakers. We have a surprise guest coming to round us out, and then we're gonna close it in prayer. All right. We're gonna have a corporate prayer together. Real quickly, everybody must call their senators. Write this number down. This is the bill that they're trying to pass right now. The Schumer-Lankford border deal. Y'all heard about this? I mean, absolute nonsense. Increasing green cards by 50,000 a year, work permits for adult children, H-1B holders, and immediate work permits to every illegal alien released from custody, taxpayer-funded lawyers to certain UACs and mentally incompetent aliens, 5,000 migrants per day allowed into the U.S., restricts parole for those who enter without authorization between ports of entry, legal ports of entry. Okay, so everybody must call their senators. The number, these are for the Republican senators, 202. This is how you can get involved. You can't be on the convoy, but you can pick up the phone and you can call 202-224-3121. That's 202-224-3121. We must hold them accountable.
Bill number. Bill number.
Okay.
Bill number. Bill number.
Bill number. Anybody know the bill number? I don't have the bill number here in front of me. You can find it. Yes, we're gonna bring retired Commander Jay Furman up here. He's Texas Congressional District 28, and we've got a special guest who's going to be here as well, Steve Steve Say, Pastor Steve Say. Where are they at? Steve Say. He's gonna come up here. He's in a Biden bus lawsuit. Remember that bus? That whole issue with Biden Harris bus. He's gonna pray for Commander Jay. Thank you.
Hey, real quick, thank you for all what you guys are doing. This is amazing. Thank you for this. And listen, you all are called. We're all called for this time. Okay? We're all called for this time. We're back to the 1776 days of revival, days of spiritual awakening. We're back. If you ever wanted to say, I want to go back to 1776, right? I want to fight. You're here. We're back to this. Listen, one more thing before I pray. When Paul Revere heard the British were coming, and he rode into where he was going, right? He rode to the town. He came to a pastor's house, Jonas Clark. He's a pastor. He came to this pastor's house. He had John Adams and John Hancock there. So Paul Revere looked at them. He said, the British are coming. John Adams looked at Jonas Clark, Pastor Jonas Clark, and he said, are you ready? Are your men ready? And he said, I've been teaching them for 20 years to fight against tyranny. So what I'm saying, if the pulpits in America are back on fire, we're in trouble, right? The pulpits, if you're a pastor here, get after it. We got to get after it. If the pulpits must get back on fire, right? And I'm going to pray, and we'll get Jay up here to speak. Let's pray. God, we thank you for this time. I thank you for all these patriots that are here tonight. God, we thank you for a nation that you instilled your principles in our Constitution, in our Declaration. God, we thank you for that. And now, God, we're in a battle. We're in the biggest spiritual battle we've ever faced in this nation. And God, we have unprincipled men in places of leadership. And we ask you tonight, we plead the blood of Jesus tonight to be upon our nation. And we ask you to purge the unprincipled men that are in places of leadership, God. We ask you to purge them and wash them from our system. And God, we ask you to be with men like Jay who are there fighting, and some of the fighters and the warriors. And God, we ask you to be with Jay, be with his family. Give him wisdom. Give him courage. Give him boldness that he may fight and continue to purge this system of all these Babylonian unprincipled men. So God, we thank you again. Protect this convoy. The Biden administration wants them. And God, protect them from these men. And we thank you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
How y'all doing? So I'm retired Navy Commander Jay Furman. 28 years of service, come back to my home state of Texas to find it not the way I left it. At the end of my service time, I sat up in bed one night on the day that the Biden administration made the vaccine mandatory for the military. And it didn't sit right with me. We had chosen not to take it. Half the military had chosen not to take it at that time. Their choice, their right. We didn't know what we were dealing with. So I said, hey, no matter what you don't know or what we do know, let's keep a control group so we'll have a military if this thing goes south. I wrote that white paper. Nobody wanted to hear it. Can you imagine? So that might have gotten slid over to Darren Beatty at revolver.news. So America First Legal people helped me out. Sidney Palace people helped me out. And it went viral. And then things got weird. Then my Fourth Amendment rights as a active duty Navy commander with distinguished service who had a top secret better clearance after I was on Tucker talking about how we need to take an operational pause and think about this as a nation as we race towards a decision that is permanent, and it turns out so, and I wish I was wrong. I came home that day with a black Suburban from my house, and I was surveilled for weeks after by unmarked cars. And my phone has never been my own since. And the Fourth Amendment is something we're all losing very quickly. Because the thing I was operating under in the global war on terror, where they had go after foreign terrorists and the policies we had, they ripped off the word foreign and changed nothing except for slapping the word domestic on there to go after political opponents and turn to Stasi of the United States of America. That's not the military I signed up for in 1992. That's not the America that is going to take care of our kids and grandkids. So I retired a day before they took my pension so I could stay in the fight. Bible study friend of mine said, hey, something's going on the border. So let's go investigate it. Child sex trafficking. I came back from that experience, eyes wide open. It looked just like the borders of our allies I've been trying to defend all over the world. Folks, our border, the southwest border, I'm calling the new Maginot Line. All of our enemies of significance are massed south of our border right now. In the Cold War, we used to worry about this. Now it's no problem. They're new Americans. Folks, it's not Ellis Island. It's not the Statue of Liberty. We're breaking these people as they come in, and they will never be the same. And they're all controlled by the cartel, modern day slavery. So I'm preaching to the choir here, but we got to tell everybody north of us what's going on, because Texas is America's Alamo right now. So what we're doing right here is great. But what you have to do when you go home from here is tell everybody you know and tell them to tell everybody they know. And when you encounter a border issue or you have a border thought, propagate it. So I am actually running for office. And I was talking to do that full-headed thing, but I'm running for office in the second largest border district in the country. And I'm trying to beat a 20-year Democrat incumbent. This is LBJ's old district, 110-year Democrat rule, and it is the worst of the worst. It is the chink in our armor. So I need your help. We need each other's help because we're going to fix this from the ground up. Test your politicians as they're going in. March 5th is the day. Republicans have to vote early and be at the polling stations and get involved, like Laura said, because this is our finest hour. It's ahead of us. We may not make it to November. Let's look ahead for what's coming. We've been on our back foot since 2019. They've changed the script every time. And now what's coming, we have to be wise so we don't get baited into a fight. We have to protect the castle, lead with love.
We have to pause. We do the national anthem.
Oh.
The J6ers, we're going to sing the national anthem right now. Just
All right, good. Okay.
Hey, you guys familiar with the J6 prison choir? We have someone on the phone right here. We got incarcerated J6 people right here. They're going to sing the national anthem with us.
Uncover.
Get a flag. Get a flag.
Where are we going to find one of those?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. USA! 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 I know a lot of you have seen President Trump and the national anthem, the mashup between that and the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm going to tell you, he's looking at two people. one been to prison and one headed there. If you, the people, don't get involved. This man is on his way to prison. He never entered the building. He stopped people from breaking windows, and he's going to prison. That's a fact. I want you to read it on the record. There's a young man here that on this phone that initiated this prison jail call to me tonight named Isaac Thomas. We represent his interests at Condemned USA. He's a victim of human trafficking, and he's been through a hell of a lot. I want you to understand there's a victim of human trafficking that's 21 years old that's sitting in prison in solitary confinement right now. That's what we're dealing with. This is Joe Biden's weaponized America. If you don't stand up for this, I don't know what is going on in your mind. Well, Robert A.G. put this beautiful event together, and there's people waiting to speak. I don't want to take time. I want to ask you, please, please help these people. Don't help me. Help men like this. I know this man's father. His name's Jeff Zink. He's running for Congress in Arizona. I know this man. He's running for Congress in Texas. I know the content of the character of these people that I break bread with, like Robert A.G., Laura Logan. I've gotten to know these people in this 3-year fight. We've been to war and back together. I've never served in the United States military. I don't have that honor. I've never been like Jay and these other folks that own that honor. But I'm going to fight for America just as damn hard as I can as a civilian. And every one of you can too. God bless America, and thank you all for joining J6ers tonight. And I think I'm a fan of Commander J. Free J6. Free J6. Free J6. Free J6. Hell yeah. Robert, I'm going to give you a stage back. I'm so sorry, Pete. Here you go.
All right, we got, first, before I do this real quick, we're not cowards, America. Texans are not cowards. When I stood on that board and I heard my rules of engagement, you know what they told me? If they shoot at you from the Mike side, Mexico, get in your vehicle and drive away. Are you kidding me? Now, I'm not looking for a fight, but if one comes to me, I'm taking it back. He'll fight for us because we don't live in a spirit of fear. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything through prayer, petition, present your request to God, and the peace of God that transcends all understanding will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. This next man is going to represent courage here. This is a Ranger friend of mine. He is a Newsmax and Christian Broadcasting Network, Chuck Holton. Rangers lead the way.
Thank you, Pete. What an honor to get to know people like that. That guy's a hero and a great American. It's very nice to be here because my other option was Detroit. So it's nice to be where nobody wants to kill me. It's all right. Hey, does it make you angry that there were 250,000 people that came across the border illegally that we caught in December last year? And that's a record beyond all record. When I started reporting on the border, it's like 2004 or something. I mean, 1,000 people a day was a crisis. 12,000 people a day last December. I mean, what is it? That's hard to even believe. Now, if that makes you angry, what should make you even more angry is the fact that you are paying for it. Now, there's 650,000 people in the pipeline right now on their way up from Ecuador, from Chile, from Peru, from Brazil. These are not Peruvians and Chileans, by and large, Brazilians. These are people from Somalia. These are people from Afghanistan. These are people from China. They're people from Cuba, from Venezuela. Now, look, you know, I don't want you to fall prey to that idea that the only place on planet Earth where somebody could make a life is right here in the United States of America. Might be the best country on the planet, but it's not the only country on the planet, right? And the people, look, I have covered every single step of the pipeline from the southern border of here in Texas, all the way to Chile, all the way to Ecuador. And Michael Jan and I have been to Morocco, Lithuania. We've been all over Europe. We've been to, I don't know, 20 countries together or something, right? So we understand how this pipeline works. And you have to understand there is virtually nobody coming across the U.S. southern border who is an actual asylum seeker. None. These are economic migrants, people. Why? How do I know that? Well, because if you left Venezuela, okay, look, I don't blame you. Venezuela sucks. Well, I was down on the border in Colombia, and I stepped into Venezuela about 50 feet. 3 guys tried to kidnap me. I had to fight my way out. Didn't go well for me or them. But everybody that was coming out of Venezuela kept saying, why doesn't President Trump come down, send the military down here to get rid of Maduro? And I said, why? Are there no men in Venezuela? I mean, you tell me that I should send my son to come bleed for your country when you're not willing to bleed for your country? I'm sorry. We have a word for that where I come from. It's called cowardice. So how about you turn around and go back into your country and overthrow your own dictator? Thank you very much. Now look, if they leave Venezuela, I don't blame them. And I know a lot of them who are making a living in Colombia just fine. But if they then go through the Darien Gap to Panama, Panama to Costa Rica, Costa Rica to Nicaragua, Nicaragua to Honduras, Honduras to Venezuela, I'm sorry, Honduras to Guatemala, Guatemala to Mexico, all the way up to the United States, you telling me there's no place in there where they could have made a better living than Venezuela? Now, let me tell you this story and I'll be done. I met 2 Cuban migrants, just as they were coming out of the Darien Gap, and they were in bad shape. This is a few years ago. And I tracked them. I gave them my cell phone number and tracked them all the way up into the United States. They were 2 school teachers, and between the 2 of them in Cuba, they made $25 a month total. Okay? So that's kind of hard to make a living, right? They got into the United States, and they went to Texas in Fort Worth, and they signed up for a church program that would give them a stipend to help them get started. But they knew better than to go in as a married couple. So they went in as 2 single people and got twice as much money. Then they went and signed up for a city program. Then they did the same thing. Then they got on a bus and went to Florida and did the same thing in Florida and signed up for a couple more programs. Then they got signed up for federal SNAP benefits and things like that. And within a couple of months, these people who came out of Cuba making $25 a month were making $3,200 a month just in benefits before they went and got jobs under the table, which should have disqualified them for all of those programs. But they didn't tell anybody because they got jobs under the table. And so when I went to visit them in Miami a few months later, they were making $60,000 a year. They had 2 cars. They had a nice apartment. The mom was pregnant, about to have an anchor baby. Folks, you are paying for that, and you're paying for it even more because of the $1.6 billion, which is going to be handed out by the United Nations and the OIM, the Organization for Immigration and Migration. Get that 4 in there. This year, $1.6 billion before they get to our shore. Do you think these destitute people have what it takes to travel to the United States? No. They're taking U.S. tax dollars, and they are using those tax dollars for their travel funds to get them to the United States. Now, folks, if that won't make you go out and vote, I don't know what will. That's all I got to say about that. God bless you.
All right, we're getting close to wrapping up. See that truck that just rolled in there? You're gonna want to hear what this man has to say. All right, George McMillan. founder and CEO of 63 Strat Group. He has the mass migration and the 7P plan of the left. This is incredible. He's going to take just a moment to tell you about it. And then we're going to hear from Marianne Mendoza with Angel Family, founder of Angel Family and Angel Moms. And then we're going to wrap up in some prayer and hear from our truckers.
All right, thanks. All right, don't be brief here. The question is, what's that? Oh, yeah. They've been talking about mass migration, 7P plan. I wrote down the 7Ps of why they're so urgently trying to flood the borders and bring as many people here as possible. Nobody can hear you. What's that? Nobody can hear you. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. The left has a several hundred-year plan since Rousseau wrote the essay on inequality. They had to take over the professors, the priests, the press, the prosecutors, the politicians, and the parents. They have to take them all over in order. They have 5 of the 7 Ps right now. They need to turn a few more red states blue in order to finally achieve it so they can nominate a Supreme Court justice to get rid of the rest of the amendments. So they're so close. Before Trump got elected, they thought they were going to have that. We are on the 2-yard line. They think they're about to punch it in right now, so they're trying to flood the border because they have to stop this election that's coming up here in the United States, and they've got to stop the election in Germany and stop the AfD from gaining power. So this year, they're going to try to flood everything to take those turn a few states to blue, so they'll never have a conservative president ever again, and they'll have a single party state and achieve socialism. Anyway, the rest of the article is at g3insights.com. You can check it out and read it. There's a whole bunch of other articles up there also about geopolitics that are not discussed, but everybody should know. All right, thanks a lot. I think I was great.
Hey, that was great, man. You know, the man with the plan. We got to have a plan, right? That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you, brother. Thank you for putting a plan together. Marianne Mendoza. I'm so glad you're here to join us. Founder of Angel Families. Wow. And Angel Moms. So thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you all. I'm very proud to be here tonight. Unlike any of the other speakers, I've been personally affected by open borders. My son was a Mesa Police sergeant. He was killed on May 12, 2014 by a repeat illegal criminal who was 3 times the legal limit drunk, high on meth, had traveled over 35 miles the wrong way on 3 different freeways in Phoenix in the HOV lane and ran head on into my son going 104 miles an hour. That day forever changed my life. And folks, I've been fighting this fight for 10 years. In May, it's going to be 10 years. I spoke out. I worked immensely with Trump during his 4 years. I was at the White House all the time. I was on Fox News. And I got to thinking, I'm getting on the news and I'm telling my story for 3 minutes and people are saying this poor woman, she lost her son. Oh my gosh, what's for dinner? Because that's the attention span of Americans. You don't listen, you don't learn. I've been pounding my head against the wall trying to make people understand this is what's going on. I know too many parents who've lost their children and now the fentanyl poisoning is taking over also. But I want to just point out a few things to you. President Trump asked for $15 billion to secure the border. We are now being forced as taxpayers, without congressional approval, $351 billion is going to be spent supporting them this year. $674 billion is leaving our economy in remittances that these illegals are sending home to their families. If you get on the United Nations website and look up an article, 8 reasons why remittances are good, look up number 5. Because this is exactly what they're planning. They want these people to come in. It's a redistribution of our wealth. They are set and hellbound on bankrupting this country and bankrupting its people. So I can't stress how powerful it is, not only to close these borders, but to get the lying fools out of office, the people who don't really represent us. They don't represent you and me and what we want. So let's get out there and make a difference. Make a difference for my son. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We need angels. God sends us angels. And moms. We need moms. I know I need a mom. I probably wouldn't. Because I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have a mom, right? All right. We got 2 more special guests. Where are they at? Vinny and Kip Coltrane. These guys, they're representing the truckers that are supporting this movement right now. Come on up here. Come on up here. All right. So Kenny here, you know, he led the Southern Freedom Convoy. This gentleman right here. And he teamed up with Kip Coltrane, who led the American Trucker Freedom Convoy. They've been working together. And these 2 men have helped us out. You know, I don't know what I'm doing. Convoy. You want me to do what? Okay. All right, Lord, well, you're going to have to send me help. I don't know what I'm doing. And these guys came out of nowhere. And they said, what do you need? What do you need? How can we help? And, you know, Kip has been instrumental in walking me through some of this and, you know, setting the record straight, clearing the air of things for me. And this guy knows what he's doing. We're just thankful he made it here today. And I'm going to have him share some words. Vinny's been instrumental getting this convoy from Jacksonville, Florida, all the way over here. In addition to Craig Hudgens is the lead RV right back out there. So Vinny and Craig have been working hand in hand to make it flow right. And we're going to be heading out of here tomorrow at 10 a.m. sharp. We're going to be meeting at the Moxie, am I saying that right? Moxie Gymnasium right here where everybody's already parked. They said you can stay there overnight should you choose. They're welcoming everybody. We're going to leave out of there at 10 a.m. sharp, so make sure you get there at 9. I'm going to hand the mic over to these guys and let them share a few things. Vinny?
How you doing? Well,
You broke it.
Then to have been put in position to lead this convoy across Virginia. Get that mic on. Oh, there we go. I can't be more blessed than to been able to be put in the position to lead this convoy over from Virginia. I can't think. You know, I never expected it. I was on my way from Cape Cod down to Virginia, and Kip here calls me and says, hey, they might need some help. So I'm going to give this guy your number. Give it to Craig. We all met a couple of years ago in Hagerstown, and it's been an amazing journey. And I couldn't have ran that convoy without having Kip at my back and calling him and said, hey, well, here we go with this, here we go with that. And, to lead a convoy from Virginia all the way to Texas and have no incidents was absolutely amazing. And I would like to thank all the drivers that were in that convoy, because it wouldn't have been happening without you and without God leading us. I said to many of them along the way, I'm not leading you. God's leading me and you're behind me. And that's the way it's going to continue. They said that we're going to lose vehicles going through Houston. And I prayed to God to help and to guide me through like you spread the waters for Moses. And we rolled through Houston and didn't lose a single car. So, that's just some of the things. The people on the streets, the people on the bridges, it was amazing. So let's get to what we're going on tomorrow. Tomorrow morning when we get over here, we're gonna line up, and I'm gonna let Kip take it from here because he's better at it than I am.
I'm gonna go a different route. A lot of times in an event, you listen to other speakers and you can kind of get a feel for what's going on. I don't do notes. I don't do speeches. I do the heart. I'm gonna tell y'all something. If I can just take a minute of your time, I want everybody here, look to your left, look to your right, look behind you, look in front of you. And then in just a second, I want to ask y'all a simple question. Who's the most important person here? Wrong answer. Somebody else want to try? Everybody but you. Everybody but you. When people become selfless and begin to serve others, that's when you see things like this happening. Whenever you have people that are willing to set their own selves aside and say, there's a bigger picture and I need to be watching that. That's the goal. He needs. What about my needs? Take it. Here, you need some money? Here. You want my drink of water? Take it. Because when everybody does that, you're going to see things happen. There's no doubt that right now in our country, we're in a heck of a lot of peril. And if I have to tell you about that, then there's probably a real good ear doctor down the road. And if not that, probably a funeral home somewhere that way. If you need instruction on that, I'm not going to help you because I'm not going to spend 16 years of knowledge trying to throw back at you in 5 minutes, but I'll offer you this. When these convoys come together, and you have to understand from my own perspective, and I want to speak for me for just a second. Vinny will agree with this. When you're moving a convoy, you're at the front. Typically, I'm going to be at the front. All you see is what's coming. But then you look back in your mirrors and you see what's behind you. All right? Now think about that. You're seeing what's behind you. We should be focused on what's in front of us. But if you're in the front moving that thing, you got to be thinking about those people trusting you and those people following you to move toward the goal. Can we agree at that? The guy at the back of the convoy, all he sees is a convoy. And depending on where the RVs and stuff are, he might not even see the front of the convoy. And sometimes these things get so long, you can't see it at all except just a big mess. The point to be made in that is when someone's leading something and others follow, that person in the front is the least important person because their responsibility is everybody but them. Their responsibility is to build up everyone around them. And when that convoy is going down the road, I'm going to tell you what's happening with that. This is the part where it gets good. I can't see real good in the dark with all these lights in my eyes. I'm sure there's some little kids here somewhere. I'm off you this. You've seen it. You've heard it. You've watched it happen. Little kid standing on the side of the road. What are you going to do? Drop some freedom on them, baby. Woo! That's what you do. What did you just do in that moment? You just inspired that little kid. That's the next generation. They're watching us. Okay? We can't always clean up the messes from Washington, but simple things like a convoy, simple things like a kind gesture to someone else, or just being good to somebody else for no reason. That's what matters. This convoy and the other ones I've been in, I watch people on the overpasses. God. You have no idea what it's like to see people you've never met, you're never going to see again, but to understand that they share the kindred spirit and heart that you do. And we're willing to come out in the heat, the cold, the rain, the wind, whatever it was. And there they are on an overpass. And they're waiting and they're watching. And I'm just driving. And there's a phone ringing and I'm over here and I'm on the radio and I'm taking care of all this. And I look up ahead and I see an overpass. That's the first indicator. And then all of a sudden I see a bunch of mess up there. Man, they have a wreck? Whoa, wait a minute. Is that old Glory waving? And you get closer. And then I'm driving, and something I've done over the years. A Peterbilt like mine's got 4 headlights, 2 on low beam, 2 on high. And the closer I get, I start clicking them lights, baby. And they look, and you see them zone in like a coonhound on a raccoon. And then about that time, boop, 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 boop. And boy, they start waving them flags, and the kids are going crazy, and mom has got tears in her eyes, and daddy's over there smiling. It's a feeling like no other. And that's good. But I'm going to share what happens when the convoy's over.
Because the issue at hand, it's easy to get caught in the moment with the excitement. And it's easy to say, well, that was cool what they did. But you have to ask yourself one question. I'll ask you right now. When this is over, what are you going to do to continue to fight? God bless.
Do you mind?
Woo! All right. Thank you, everybody. Hey, I want to thank Big D. He had a lot of help while running this combo. And my tail gunner, Dennis, I don't know where he is. I haven't seen him all day. But tomorrow morning, we're going to line up. I'll be in front. You'll see the RVs. Any RVs fall in behind the last bus. Is it still there? This bus, the last bus there. After that, RVs will fall in. All cars behind them. Motorcycles, I don't know how many we have, so that we'll decide in the morning whether they're going in the front, the back, or how we're going to use them. It's very crucial that everybody lines up the way we need them to line up. That is going to make rolling out of here a lot easier. How we will communicate, I will discuss with you in the morning, not now. And I will have a meeting with the drivers. I don't know how many here are going. I know that we had quite a few come, and I hope you're all going down there with us. So, again, thank you very much, and I'll see you all in the morning. Let's get this done. God's in the lead.
Hey, I don't know if you guys heard of me or not, but they call me Big D. I'm gonna tell you, I've been driving a truck for 20 years, and I never thought when I got my truck driving license, I was ever gonna have to stand up for this country. I thought I was just gonna be a truck driver. Don't make me start crying. I will. I'm gonna tell y'all, when we're rolling in that convoy, all I see is American patriots everywhere, honking their horns, waving their flags, and standing up for this country. And I want to tell you all out there on them live streams that you guys are absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. God bless each and every one of you. There is no doubt we can't do this without you guys. We can't do this without you guys. You're going to see me tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you see me already running up and down that convoy, back and forth, not just taking video footage. That ain't what I'm there for. I'm there for each and every one of you patriots in that convoy. I'm there for your security. I will take action where action needs to be taken in that convoy to keep that convoy safe. And I won't have it any other way. I want to say God bless each and every one of you that came out here tonight, that's on those live streams tonight. I mean, I'm going to tell you, these people spend hours and hours and hours and hours each and every day spending their money, spending their time. Like they could have went to work. They're still at work. watching these live streams, guys. We're spreading the news, the real news, uncut, unedited. We are not fake media, baby. We are not the fake news. Oreo Express, First Responders Media, Soup Mama, Master Grifter, which is me, Glory Be Freedom, Bruce Levings, brand new YouTuber. Go follow Bruce Levings on YouTube. Ann Lake on YouTube. Sapphire Patriot on YouTube. And I'm going to tell you right here, right now, that is all real news. There's no other way to do this besides spread the truth. I want to say God bless each and every one of you. And I love you. And I'm going to tell you right here, there ain't nothing you can do about it.
Now I want to say God bless our truckers. God bless our truckers. We wouldn't have a nation if we didn't have our truckers. All right, hey, we're going to close it up in prayer. Don't go anywhere. One point of business. Slice Street Pizza. They have a few pizzas left. Help them out. Woo! Clean them out. Clean out the other gentlemen who, whoever they are that came out here to offer food. Let's not make them throw it out. We want to support them too. Great folk. Okay. Yeah, they stayed open until 2 a.m. Slice Street Pizza last night, waiting for us to come in. Like 5 hours after closing time or something like that, something crazy. So it's amazing support. They're right here, local in Dripping Springs. This is not Domino's. This is not Pizza Hut. Okay, it's a family-owned business. We want to support them. All right, we got Rod and Suzanne Parker.
Was great.
They're from
New Yorker.
I better not even tell you how I know this, man. I'm going to be up here for 30 minutes.
Pizza. It's
a crazy story how the Lord introduced
go find them.
My wife and I to Rod, his lovely wife, Suzanne. They're pastor of Jesus Encounters Patriot Church right there it is Collinsville, Texas. We actually launched the Remnant Revolution Tour out of his church. God divinely hooked us up in a theater during a mass deliverance, and that Come Out in Jesus' Name. You know, if y'all saw that documentary, they did a mass deliverance. It was a crazy story. But we're thankful for him. He's going to be down tomorrow and Saturday in Quemado. He's bringing his worship team. I'm going to let him tell you guys a little bit about that, what to expect, and he's going to come up here and close us out in prayer. Rod, please. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Clap your hands, all you people. Come on. Shout to the Lord with a voice of triumph. I said shout to the Lord with a voice of triumph. Come on, I want to hear you in the back row. Shout to the Lord with a voice of triumph. I don't know about you, but I think there's a couple freedom-loving Americans here. That's right. You know, our freedom's not free, right? And I just think the Bible says to give honor where honor's due. And I just want to honor all the veterans. I want to honor Doc Pete Chambers and Phil Waldron and all the veterans that are here. Can we give it up for them tonight? Our freedom is not free, right? It's not free. It has never been free, and it'll never be free, right? But the main thing, the only way we're going to keep it free is to keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is Jesus. Come on, somebody. Can you give it up for Jesus? I didn't say Joe Biden. I said Jesus. Come on, let me hear you. Yes. That's what this whole rally's about. That's what this convoy's about. What is the convoy about? It's united we stand. I think if I had one word to say, what this convoy is doing and what it stands for is unity. My Bible says that he's only coming back for a unified body, a unified bride. Right? So now is the time where I think the world is watching Texas. The world is watching Texas. Right? What do we do in Texas? We stand, we unify, and we pray. But, you know, in backwards order. First, we're going to pray. Right? So I want to read a scripture. If you guys would stand with me, let's hold the hand of the neighbor next to you. I'm not going to keep you very long, but I believe in the Word of God. How many here believe in the Word? How many love the Word of God? Amen. That's what this whole thing's about. I'm going to read to you 2 Chronicles 7:14. This is the words of Jesus. It says, if the big IF. That's on you. That's on you. It's on me. If, the big if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves. You know, that's a daily choice. Sometimes for me, it's a minute by minute choice. Will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways. Did you notice that turning? That turning means repentance. As Doc would say, that's a pivot, right? Because a lot of people don't like that word repentance. But I tell you what, the Bible says here, we got to turn from our wicked ways. Then I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin, and I will heal their land. Father God, we just worship you tonight. We love you, Jesus.
No, I have.
Father, we ask you for so many things. But tonight we come together to bless you. We come together to bless you. We come together to unify tonight. To unify on behalf of our country, on behalf of our border, and every person that's here. Father, you died for all of humanity. You died for all the sins of the past, present, and the future. So right now, Father, we just draw a bloodline. Right now, a bloodline around Texas, around America, because the world is watching Texas. And so, Father, I ask you, continue to bless Texas. We'll put you first place. And so, Father, we know that your word says that you redeem everything that's given to you first. Throughout Scripture, every first thing was redeemed. So, Father, I just ask, we just humble ourselves tonight. We come before you, Father. Holy Spirit, we ask you to just open your heavens over us and pour out your Spirit on all humanity right now. Because, Father, we know we have no chance without you. The only chance for this world, the only chance for this nation, the only chance for Texas is you, Father. Is this nation repenting, falling on their knees, and turning to you. So, Father, help us to do that. Give us the strength, Father, to get out of our own way and just fall on our knees, lose our pride, lose our dignity, and come before you and seek your face. So, Father, I just thank you for that ability. Your word says that you've given us all a measure of faith. So right now, I just speak those things that are not. The Bible says that we can speak those things that are not just like they are. I speak for increased faith because we understand as the body of Christ, as the ecclesia, that is the only thing. Father, that is the only thing that pleases you. The only thing. So, Father, increase our faith as we reach out to you, as we unify tonight. Bring us in unity. This country needs to see, this world needs to see us come together as brothers and sisters. We're not friends, we're brothers and sisters. So, Father, we just thank you for unity. We thank you for what you're doing in this country because this is history. We're making history. And so, Father, we're all honored, we're privileged, we're pleasured to be here, to stand together for one another and for the world to watch what unity really looks like. In Jesus' name. And everybody said, Amen. I want you to do one more thing. I want you to look at your neighbor. Look at your neighbor and say, don't be afraid. Fear God. Don't be afraid. Come on. Let's fear God.
Amen.
God, you know what? My Bible says that we weren't given a spirit of fear. But here's what we were given. One of power, one of love, and one of a strong mind. one of power, one of love, and of a sound mind. I want you to receive that. I pray that you receive that in the mighty name of Jesus. God bless you. Can't wait to see you. Everybody be praying for revival at the border. You're going to hear a lot more about that because the convoy is the first part. When the convoy leaves, revival at the border, baby. That's what's going to happen. God bless.
An appeal to heaven, that's what it is. This is an appeal to heaven. Psalms 20 verse 5 says, in the name of our God, we will raise our banners. That he would hear our petition, and our petition is to heal our land. This is an appeal to heaven to heal our land. Thank you all. God bless you. Have a beautiful night.
Stitch. Oh no, now I gotta find a stitch. Stitch.
And there you have it. The rally tonight in Dripping Springs. I'm just going to check the news feeds coming in, see what else is going on. Don't go away. I'm still here. More to come.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right, and we are continuing to keep an eye on things down there in Eagle Pass. Let me just check this out. Yeah, there's not a lot of action tonight. Everybody's just kind of sitting around down there. I'll just show you briefly. We have this live feed. There we go. We do have this from Eagle Pass at the border. They're headed down there tomorrow. It's just peaceful, not a lot going on. Border Patrol going in. But that is about that's about as exciting as it gets down there at the moment. We'll keep an eye on it. And we were supposed to get to Kevin Michelizzi, but I think what we will do is save Kevin for tomorrow because the clock is ticking here. Time marches on. He'll bring us up to date on the war in Ukraine tomorrow. And also share that information on information warfare and fake news posts that continue to confuse people. Kevin is an expert in that area. Great coverage. Huge thank you to Soup Mama. You know, go check out her social media platforms at soupmamaofficial.com or Soup Mama Official, whatever. You just type that in into any of the search engines on any of the social media platforms, and you can find her work. And of course, you guys can support us here as we continue to collaborate with people and bring you coverage of all these major news events and the news of the day, and give you guys a voice by donating at maverickdonations.com or at freedomreporters.com. That's maverickdonations.com or freedomreporters.com. If you donate $60 or more, I will send you a hoodie or a shirt with the embroidered logo like this. If you just attach a note telling me what size you need. $30 donations or more, and I will send you a t-shirt with the Maverick News logo on the front. So our coverage of the border crisis in Texas continues tomorrow as we ramp up our coverage heading into the weekend. Things should reach a crescendo on Saturday and Sunday at the border. We're seeing a bunch of different reports tonight coming out of Eagle Pass. Some concerns about things maybe escalating there a bit, but we're not going to go down that path because I think we need really better confirmation of the information that's being delivered to us here tonight on that front. I don't want to speculate, and I want to make sure that all the information we provide to you is factual. So we will verify as quickly as possible. And when I know we are dealing with absolute facts, we will share the information with you. But until then, we're just going to stick with what we've told you so far tonight. It looks like everything is very peaceful and growing. It looks like they picked up quite a few new people along the way. And you saw for yourself exactly what was going on down there in Dripping Springs, Texas, where one of the convoys, one of at least three, has gathered to stop tonight for a big rally there. And they will continue on tomorrow to their destination in Eagle Pass, Texas. A pivotal moment in this election year. Emotions running high, and you heard the reasons why right here on the Maverick News Channel, where I will join you again tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. God bless Texas. God bless the USA. God bless Canada. God bless us, everyone. Catch you on the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.